I felt humiliated at the party because of my girlfriend's past.
What did she do?
My girlfriend has an intense spicy related past. She was very open and honest about it early when we started dating. She told me that when she got to college, she went wild and started having spicy sleep with a lot of guys.
Heck yeah.
She said that for the past year and a half, she had stopped and wanted a relationship.
Heck yeah.
She told me this early on because the past 2 guys she dated left when they found out, and she didn't want to waste our time.
They left when
Smart.
they found out that she had a past?
I guess so.
Okay.
For the most part, everything has been fine.
Cool.
By the way, this comes from Flippy32, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Keon.
And OP says, that is until tonight. We went to a Halloween party, and I was surrounded by guys that she had spicy sleep with. Most of these guys are pure a-holes making crude comments all night long.
That is rough.
Yeah,
That's rough.
I would agree. One guy who was either really just a clueless F-head or being a total wiener came up to me while she was standing right there, gave me a bro hug, and said, dude, it's cool that you're hitting that now. Make sure to
Ew.
have her show you how she can put her legs behind her head. It's effing fantastic.
I'm sorry. If
Ow.
someone said that to me, I'd be
I'm
like,
walking out.
I'd be like, excuse me?
Yeah.
One, don't talk to me like that.
Yeah.
But also don't talk about my partner like that.
Yeah, that's so
How
disrespectful of her.
disrespectful of this guy.
Disgusting.
Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
I would be fighting.
Not.
Girlfriend and I are doing the good one too. Like I look
Yeah,
at her.
oh,
and
yeah.
like,
First, I'd be like, girl,
Fighting.
are you okay? Like, partner, are you okay? Because
Yeah.
that person's just saying these awful things.
Disgusting. Yeah.
But then I'd be like, bop, bop, bop. Let's go. You suck.
He then gave me another hug and went around the room. I would think he was just being a wienerhead to me, but he went around talking like this to everyone. I didn't have a clue what to say or do. I wasn't sure if I should have started a fight, laughed with him, or
No.
run out of the room, passing away of humiliation. Yeah,
Probably
no, not at
start
all.
a fight or leave.
Yeah.
Don't laugh with him.
No, not at
He's
all.
disrespecting your girlfriend.
And you.
100%.
And you. Yeah, well, yes, but like also like to laugh with him is
you would have
is
to also disrespect
disrespecting your
her.
girlfriend.
it's just doormat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Exactly. When he said that, there was a group of guys right behind him that started passing away laughing at me. I tried to hold out,
Don't
but
hold
after a
out.
few minutes, I told her I really didn't want to be there and that if she wanted to stay, I would understand, but I was leaving. She said that she was leaving with me and apologized for the way they acted. I know it wasn't her fault, and honestly, it may have just been as embarrassing for her, if not more so. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely more so.
I'm sorry, this girl has just had to be in a room with a bunch of guys that she has a history with who are then telling to multiple other people her like private times with them.
Yeah.
That's so embarrassing for her.
So
So
embarrassing.
disrespectful.
Yes.
Just icky. Like I would
Yes.
feel so bad for her.
Absolutely. I told her I was going to go home and go to bed, and I could tell that she was very disappointed. She even asked if tonight had ruined what we had. I told her no, but I was honest and said it did bother me. She said she hoped we would still be okay after this, and I promised to call her tomorrow. As I sit here typing this, I'm not going to lie about it. This is really the first time her past has actually presented itself, and where I could ignore it before, now I don't think I can. Am I out of line here, or was I right to feel like everyone was making fun of me for being the stooge that she got to be the boyfriend after they all had their way with her? That's a gross way to put that.
Don't put I hate that.
Don't put it like
They
that.
didn't have their way with her.
Yeah, it,
She had consensual relationships
Yeah.
with them
yeah.
before you guys were together.
Right. But there are some comments. Comment number 1 says, it's difficult. If she wants to stop being known as the girl who all the guys have effed, she has to move on to a new friend group. That can be hard at that age, depending on circumstances. If you want to be with her, you have to accept her past. However, there are things that she can do to help limit the baggage that she's asking you to accommodate. Not partying with a-holes might be one of those things. Comment number 2 says, should have knocked him in the face. That's so disrespectful. And if that happened to me, I hope my partner at the time would stand up for me and tell him to F off. Those guys sound like wieners, to be honest. Why go to a party with those types of people? She's been honest with you, which is good. You can't hold on to mistakes that people have made in the past. She obviously changed for the better.
I don't like that
I
either.
don't like that
Changed
either.
for the better?
This is not a mistake.
She is allowed to have other relationships, casual or not,
Right.
and that's fine. Don't
Exactly.
like salute shame her for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
OP responds, here's the witch of it. I, to this moment, still have no idea if he was being a complete a-hole or if he was just a good time bro who thought that
No.
we were closer than we were.
Yikes.
Yeah. No.
No, he was an a-hole. And the
Absolutely.
fact that you don't get that is concerning to me.
I crap you not, he hugged me after he said it, and I just get the feeling that he was telling me something more along the lines like I would say, hey man, when you're here, you have to try this steak. It's fantastic.
Stop.
Oh. I don't like you either, OP.
Which, I mean, that is kind of how he was saying
is.
I
It
think
is.
OP, yeah, I
I'm
think...
just really concerned that OP sees his girlfriend as a steak.
Well, okay, I don't think that OP necessarily sees him like that.
Yeah.
I think there is still a little bit of an issue with how he's saying this. I think he's saying that this is how casually this guy said it.
Yes.
But the fact that he is still considering that might not be an issue.
yeah, he's like, oh,
is
maybe
a
he's not an
problem.
a-hole. Clearly, they were
Yeah.
laughing at you. They were spreading your girlfriend's private affairs. Not affairs, but like private information.
Right. Yeah. So me knocking him might have been completely off base.
No.
Also, I'm really trying to get away from that. I've been in trouble before, and honestly, I'm trying to set myself up for a career here. So an arrest record for a harmful act is not what I'm looking for. Comment number 3 says, what I don't get is why you care what these people think. If she makes you happy and you guys have a good time together, shouldn't that be what matters? Rather than what some immature strangers think and do? OP says, in principle, I don't. However, it's not very easy being the center of attention and being obviously laughed at. My natural instinct in this situation was to fight, but I've tried to grow out of that phase of my life. Besides, if I did, I would have had to fight about 8 or 9 different guys. And there is an update. That is definitely uncomfortable to be laughed
absolutely.
at by all of these people. But yeah, guys,
again,
we just
I
need
think
to
he's
focus
just
on
not
her.
Yeah, I think he's not
She's
focusing on
also
her.
there too.
Yeah.
So it's not just at you, my guy. It's
That's
also
the
at
thing.
her.
I feel like he's really just focusing on how he was wronged when he was, but like not at all thinking about how his girlfriend feels in the situation.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I feel like that's such a annoying thing that so many guys think of in this situations where it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, they're like emasculating me by talking about my
Mhm.
girlfriend in
It's
that
like, no,
way.
your girlfriend
It's like
is being insulted and
Yeah.
demeaned.
absolutely, this is nothing about you. The laughing thing is about you. That's it.
That's it.
Everything else is about her.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have an update. I don't know if an update is really the right word here, because honestly, I'm coming here to ask for helping make a decision. After thinking about this last night, I think I'm about 60% sure I'm going to nope right out of this relationship.
What?
Yes, last night plays a big factor, but it really just opened my eyes to other issues I have. We've only been dating for 3 months. Her past bothers me sometimes. I don't know her well, only 5 months total. She was open about being with a lot of guys, but that's as far as it went. I don't know who or how many, but whenever I see her talking with another guy, I start to wonder what they're talking about. I've come up to class and she'll be talking to someone and my attitude changes. It could be innocent, but I'm going on trust, and at 3 months in, I don't have complete trust. The spicy sleep between us is a problem. I initiate every time, and she's been passionless. She just lies there. I've tried to have her do more, but she always declines. I feel like she's doing me a favor more than being an equal partner. This makes me wonder if I'm not attractive to her sexually, or if she's just going through the motions to stay in a relationship. Because of her wild times, she's far behind in school. We're in the same major, and I walk her through everything because she doesn't grasp basic concepts. This makes me wonder if I'm being used as a free tutor. Even though she has slept around, she claims to have never really had a boyfriend. She claims we've been together longer than she has with anyone. She has no concept of how to act in a date-like setting. Early on, she was very awkward. My friends' girlfriends are not comfortable with her around because her reputation precedes her.
Wow. So you're friends with people that don't want to be around a girl because she slept with a lot of people?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with them at all?
She has good qualities too. She's funny in an awkward way. She tries to tell a joke and fails so badly that it becomes funnier than the joke would have been. She's been nice to me and drops everything whenever I want to see her. We've never had disagreements, and she was upfront about her past. Here's what I'm asking. Should I ask her about her past? Should I say that because of last night, I want to know who I'm dealing with? Am I wrong for thinking this spicy sleep long term won't work out for me? If she's not into me that way, I want out. This is only 3 months in. If things ended today, I won't go into deep depression. But if I wait another 3 to 9 months, I will develop strong feelings for her. Or will I develop strong feelings and get really hurt later? We do have an update, but I don't really care to answer any of
This
these
guy
questions.
seems like he's never had a conversation.
Yeah.
Eli.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you should talk to your girlfriend.
Yes!
He's like, should
For
I ask her
sure.
any of these questions? Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
But my answer to all of those is just get out of there. I
Yeah.
don't like you, and I don't want you
Yeah.
to be with her.
I want her to have a better person.
Yeah. But we do have an update. Number 2. After reading the responses to my last post, my first course of action was to call one of my friends, Jim, to ask him to bring over his girlfriend, Jill, who was one of the girls who said she would not be comfortable being around my girlfriend. They came over and I asked her to be open and honest with me and not hold back anything to spare my feelings. She said she couldn't speak for the other girlfriends, but her problem with my girlfriend stems from something that happened a couple years ago. Oh, interesting. In a nutshell, a mutual friend of theirs had been dating her boyfriend since high school, and she for some reason got into a verbal altercation with my girlfriend. Well, the short of it is that my girlfriend ended up sleeping with her boyfriend, breaking them up. Interesting. Okay.
Yikes.
This makes more sense.
Okay.
My girlfriend only slept with him to get at the girl, and when they broke up, she refused to even talk to the guy again. The guy begged his girlfriend to take him back, but she wouldn't, and he ended up dropping out of college and making a self-harm attempt. Ooh.
Obviously not a good thing. I do want to say that we know that she wasn't in a good place. We already know that. Like,
Yeah.
she said that. She said she wasn't in a good place.
And even then, it's like,
Been
even
years ago.
even if this was an issue and this stuff led to him having those thoughts and him being in that bad
It's
place,
not
that's
really.
still
Yeah, it's
not
not.
her
It's out of.
fault.
It's not her fault at all.
He
Yeah.
was complicit in all
Yeah.
that.
I just mean like bad
no,
that she,
absolutely.
hooked up with a.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah. But I agree with you as well.
Yeah. My defense was that he was a cheater, so in some ways it wasn't her fault. But her response to that was that she knew absolutely he was with their friend and showed up in his dorm room unclothed in his bed while he was sleeping. She also said that while she had no proof, it was a well-known rumor that my girlfriend would sleep with guys who were in relationships and even married. I said that she had told me about her past, but that she stopped sleeping around over a year ago. She laughed in my face when I said that. She asked if 2 months equals a year. And and they've been together for 3 months.
Dang,
Interesting.
I feel upset that
I'm just confused about this whole situation now.
I feel like we're gonna be a little bit wrong, but I
It's
still
possible.
don't like OP. But we're just gonna
It
we
could
might be a
just
little bit
turn
wrong.
into a everyone sucks here kind of
It
thing.
might be an everyone sucks here
Yeah,
situation.
But let's see.
Uh-oh.
She then took glee in telling me that both she and Jim had seen her with some guy 2 months ago at a nightclub on campus. A nightclub on campus? They have those?
A nightclub on
What?
campus?
And that she was all over him and they left the club lip-locked to each other. Jim confirmed this. I asked why he didn't tell me before, and he said that he wasn't sure if we were exclusive or what I was doing with her. He told me that at least 4 or 5 members of his lacrosse team have been with her and that she's basically a joke on campus because of her reputation. This didn't set my mind at ease. What really bothered me was that if she was with another guy 2 months ago, that was 1 month after we started dating. We never verbalized being exclusive, but she made it clear early on that she was done sleeping around and had stopped over a year and a half ago. This would lead to me to believe that she was not serious about that comment. But I decided that I would not make a judgment until I got her side of the story. That's
Okay.
the best thing you've done in this whole
the
story.
best thing you've done this whole story.
The only good thing.
Yes. Please get her side of the story.
Yeah. So late Saturday afternoon, I asked her if she could meet me at a sandwich shop just off campus. When she got there, I asked how she had been and apologized for not calling back sooner. She said that she had been worried all day but understood if I needed time to think. I decided to get right to the point and said that obviously what happened at the party did affect me greatly. I said I wasn't prepared to deal with that and told her I was really sorry I didn't handle it better for the both of us. She again apologized for the guys laughing and kept avoiding the guy who actually said what he said. I told her I appreciated her honesty when we first got together and totally respected her privacy, but then said that I just did not think that I could handle being put in situations like that again. All I asked was, how are we going to avoid something like that happening in the future? Her answer was that we would just avoid parties on campus. I asked if all parties on campus were out of the question or just certain types of parties. She said it would be better to avoid almost any party on campus. I kind of just looked at her hoping that she would volunteer more info, but she didn't, so I didn't press the point. I said that the only thing I wanted to talk about now was if she was still having spicy sleep with anyone else or seeing anyone else. She looked at me with what I can only assume was a look of anger and surprise. She very curtly said, I told you I stopped doing that over a year ago. So I just said, then why were you with Don at that bar 2 months ago? And the fact that I knew his name obviously threw her off. At first, she tried to deny it, but when I gave her the date and description, she then said, we're just friends. I asked, what kind of friend? I could tell that she was either getting very flustered or very mad at this point. She shot back with, we're just friends.
I really feel so bad for this girl.
Yeah, I
I feel like she's going through something and I feel really bad.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like she's got some trauma or something.
Very possible. I mean, even if like she was doing what these people were saying and she was like hooking up with people that were in relationships that she knew of and all of this stuff, and like, you know, that's obviously not good.
No, it's an a-hole move, to be clear.
For sure.
But I'm like, I'm really worried about her.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's very possible for these things to be rumors. If
Yeah.
if
We already
they're
know
saying-
one of the girls said, I don't have proof, but
yeah, if they're saying that she's a joke on campus, and they were in, like you said, like they were saying this is a well-known rumor.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
it's like
could be so hard.
it's like the easy A.
Exactly. Exactly.
This makes
But
me
again,
sad.
it's not defending OP or anything like that. But it's again when not just one or two, but it's like every person you see, or it's like
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
it's
tough.
like needles into you. Like
No, I don't
yeah.
want to say that like that's not a difficult thing. It's just I didn't like how OP was talking
You're
about
like,
it.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
No, 100%. Not defending
Yeah, I
him,
think
but
it's
it's
a
just
little
like
bit of
again,
an everyone sucks here, and I hope that
Yeah.
she gets therapy.
yeah.
I don't even like that he was feeling that way. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I get,
don't really like
get,
him.
like, you know, if maybe you can't trust or something like that, but I don't know. I didn't like how he got to that not trust in the first place,
Yeah.
and why he was thinking that. Because I mean,
Oh, his reasonings are so
Yeah.
dumb
Yeah,
and
exactly.
very immature because
Ugh.
guess what? College
Ouchie.
kids.
they're in college. I decided I wasn't going to let that drop because while I've never had a friend that I have ever had spicy sleep with, I know for a fact that she has. So I just said, "Are you friends that F?" And okay. I admit that this was probably a little more crude than I should have been, but I was getting flustered at this point too. She said that obviously I didn't trust her and that until she leaves school, no one will take her seriously. I said this didn't have to be the case and that I had stayed with her knowing what I knew, but I needed to know if she had slept with him or anyone else after we started dating. She said, "Why are you asking me something you already know the answer to?" This confused me. Was she saying that I knew she didn't have spicy sleep with someone or that I did know? I asked her to clarify, so I didn't make any rash decisions. At this point, she said, "I really liked you, but obviously you have spies watching me, so you don't trust me. So I think it's best if we end this." I said if that was her decision, I would respect it, but that I did not have spies watching her, but did have a couple of friends who were trying to look out for me. She then just admitted that 2 weeks after we had started dating, she had hooked up with one of her friends with benefits. That it was a one-time thing, and she didn't see any reason why that should have been a problem because we weren't official. And by the way, we officially have full episodes of more stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. There is a little bit more to the story.
I mean, like in some ways, I agree with that because it's not
Mhm.
cheating because they weren't official.
Right.
However, she lied about it.
She did. Yeah.
She specifically said,
Yeah.
"I haven't been doing that for a year," and
Right.
then lied about it. So it's like,
Yes.
yeah, you're the a-hole for that.
Right. That's
Yeah.
when I would start not trusting her.
Yeah, this is an everyone sucks situation,
Yeah.
and
seems like it.
I feel really bad for her though.
Yeah, for sure.
Ugh.
At that point, I said that I agreed with her. It was best if we just ended this. I don't know if she was sad or happy or mad or anything. She just said, okay, and got up and left. I haven't talked to her since. I feel a little bad about this because she wasn't a bad person, but the more I thought about it, there was just too much baggage. The fact that she lied about not sleeping around for over a year and a half was the deal breaker.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. She and I will never view spicy sleep the same way. I consider it more than just a handshake, which is what she considers it. You don't know that. And I
Don't
need to
know
stay with
that.
girls who share my view on this. And that's the end of that story.
I don't know. Everyone
Didn't like
sucks
that
here.
last
Frick you,
comment.
dude.
Yeah.
Don't like you.
That's not just because someone has all these casual relationships doesn't mean that they treat it like nothing.
Or or doesn't mean that they treat your relationship like it's nothing. I think that's
Yeah.
just, I hate that. I
Absolutely.
hate that.
I told my parents that my grandmother dislikes me, but they knew all along. I, 19 female, have recently told my mom, 49 female, that my dad, I, 19 female, have recently told my mom, 49 female, and dad, 52 male, that my grandmother, 75 female, on my dad's side, never treated me the same way she would treat my 16-year-old sister. By the way, this comes from Glittering Candy 95. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. For context, me and my sister, since we were 12 and 9 respectively, would spend Fridays after school with my granny. And my mom and dad at this point were on speaking terms with my granny, unless me and my sister were involved. They would drop us off at my granny's and wait in the car. And my granny and parents would acknowledge each other with the wave, and that was it. Due to this, they never really saw what it was like when we were at her house. I want to preface that there was no physical abuse or anything like that. Now onto the issue. Over the years, I have noticed subtle differences in my treatment from my granny compared to my sister, such as if I didn't like a dinner she made, she would scoff and tell me to eat it or don't. I wasn't getting something else. My sister, on the other hand, if she was not to like a dinner, my granny would offer her something else or give her biscuits or something to eat instead. There were other instances where, like her telling me it was unladylike to sit with my legs uncrossed or put my elbows up on the table, she would scoff at me for it, would just sigh when my sister did the same. There were also the times where her and my sister were able to watch TV together while I was told to tidy up the house and garden. There were more times when I noticed the difference in treatment, like our birthdays or general events, but I'm not sure if my post is too long already, so I won't write them all out. Anyway, with all of this, I also just had the feeling that she didn't love me or even like me the same as my sister. I tried everything I could, from not complaining about dinner I didn't like to tidying up without being told, etc., in the hopes that by doing this, I could make her like me or even love me, and whatever I had done wrong could be fixed. Safe to say that hasn't happened, and I haven't given up on trying since I was 16. And I just have to say that I've accepted that my granny doesn't love or like me. I don't remember how it came up, but I was just out with my parents, and I think we were talking about my granny on my mother's side when I blurted out, "Do you guys know why granny on dad's side doesn't like me?" And they both kind of froze and dumbfounded. My mom asked me what I was talking about, and I explained the above. My mom and dad looked at each other, then me, quietly said, "You know?" I said, "Yeah. I've had a feeling since I was 10, but I didn't fully realize it." My mom and dad went to say that they had told her not to treat me and my sister differently, and that I should have told them sooner, and they had no idea I knew. They said that they'd known sooner, they wouldn't make me go to her house. I used to not want to go for that reason, but I was told to go anyways, if they all knew that was happening. They also said that she does love me, but I don't believe them. My dad was quieter on the topic, but he clearly wasn't happy. They both said they feel kind of awful that I knew about her preference for my sister, and that I should have told them sooner, and why I had told them now when I had known for years. They've both been a little quieter and a bit withdrawn since then, and I feel bad for making them feel like this, but I don't know what to do. So am I the a-hole for not telling them sooner that I know my granny prefers my sister over me? I think OP is like onto something, but she doesn't know she's onto it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think she's like almost uncovered all the clues, but everyone else is like keeping the rest of it a secret.
Like she lost her glasses, but now she's accidentally solving a murder. That's kind of the vibes I'm getting here. Update. I want to start with how grateful I am for everyone's thoughts. I don't care. My heart goes out to you. I want to clear some things up. Haha. My dad's bio daughter, I've mentioned in the comments that both of my parents have suffered from being adopted. And they are both very transparent about it and struggles they face. So if I was adopted, they would say, my wee sister had no idea if any of this has been happening, and she tried to hint here and there, and there's no preferential treatment from our parents or other family members by Granny. The only reason I haven't told her this is because I don't want her to blame herself for the difference in treatment, and I don't want her to think I blame her when I don't. I don't believe my parents' intention of keeping this from me was out of malice. It seems like they'd done it out of misplaced sense of protection. My parents aren't married, but they have engagement rings and have been together for more than 20 years. They didn't get married due to certain family members passing away and not feeling it right to do without them. For the update, I was finally able to get my parents alone today and ask them point blank why my grandmother didn't like me. I was wild emotional, so I don't remember things word for word, but I'll give it the most important notes. Some context that's important. My parents grew up here in Ireland during the Troubles, and my dad is a Protestant and my mom is a Catholic, so they got together in the mid to late 90s, and they were sometimes still are considered a mixed relationship. While my mom's side of the family didn't have a problem with my dad's side, really, just my granny wasn't happy about it. Apparently, my granny treated my dad and his younger brother the same way she treats me and my little sister. My dad was always treated as second best to my uncle, and it was obvious on holidays and birthdays and general treatment. An example my mom gave us was that my granny, when talking to others about how many children do you have, she would say 9 out of 10 times she only mentions my uncle. Safe to say she didn't hide her favoritism. My dad and mom think that it was because she had my dad out of wedlock, which at the time in Ireland was less than ideal, putting it mildly. My mom told me how Granny would interfere in her and Dad's relationship when they were beginning to date. My Granny would make side remarks, and when visiting my mom at my dad's house, she would rearrange everything to her liking and then criticize my mom for not cooking for my dad after he came home from work, even when she was also working. My dad also had memories of my grandma intercepting phone calls and visiting from my mom before they started living together. My grandma was excited when my mom announced her pregnancy and was invested in being included. I don't want to go into detail, but I was born severely prematurely and health complications from it. Due to this, my parents were very protective and insistent on how many people that they wanted to care for me had to follow what the doctor said. Yeah. They had to change my nappy a certain way per doctor's order. My grandma didn't see the point in this and would ignore them, and my dad would put his foot down, telling her she's either going to follow what the doctor says or she will be left alone with me. Or she wouldn't be left alone with me. She blamed my mom for this. I also wasn't a very openly affectionate child. I wouldn't awfully freely offer hugs or kisses to family, and my mom and dad never forced me to. You can guess my granny didn't take that well and tried to make me hug her, and my mom and dad would stop her, and then she blamed my mom, saying she stopped her from bonding with me when I was born, and now I'm acting like this. However, I remember I would run up and hug, kiss, or cuddle with everyone on my mom's side of the family, especially my granny on my mom's side. It never felt forced with them, but my granny on my dad's side, I always felt like it was transactional to hug her. Wee sister comes along, and she's my complete opposite, extroverted, openly affectionate, and more. My granny got all the hugs and kisses and cuddle from her that she didn't get from me, and because my sister didn't have any health complications, they were able to bond, unlike me and her. The tension between my parents and granny built over the years. My parents would have both my grannies and granddads, not from either family. They were long-standing parental figures to my dad, so he and my mom asked them to be our granddads, and me and my sister for Christmas Day and dinner every year. Now here's where they stopped talking to one another. My mom and dad wanted to have one Christmas to just be the four of us. My granny took this as a personal attack and wanted to come anyway, and my parents said no. Later, after Boxing Day, I think mom and dad go to Granny's house where they were confronted her on her behavior, but especially for the obvious difference in her treatment of me and my sister. My uncle was there as well. What happened apparently is that my granny feigned ignorance and my dad exploded on her, saying she wasn't going to let her pull the same thing she did with him and his brother, and that he won't let her make me feel less than because of her own messed up mindset. My mom was arguing with my uncle. He lives with my granny. My uncle tried to physically put my dad and mom out of the house, but my mom, all 5'4" of her, was used to fighting her older brothers and dropped them like a sack of crap. Haha. Thought she was going to say sack of taters.
That's what I thought too. Especially since they're Irish.
Well, there would be no potatoes.
Yep.
Well, actually, the potato famine, they only could eat potatoes.
Wait,
Right?
You know how many potatoes it takes to kill an Irishman? None.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
None.
No, but they had
Or zero.
potatoes. They had potatoes in the potato famine. That's all they could eat. Well, that's not. They just didn't really have it because none of the
they
shipments.
said something like they were going to eat people.
What?
Remember that?
No, just there was no shipments going in because the British were blocking it all.
But remember they were like, we're going to eat our own kind. Here's how we're going to do it. Remember that?
I don't remember that.
I wasn't there.
It was satire. It wasn't
I
actually
never
gonna
heard
happen.
anyone say that.
It was. I had to read that in the 7th grade.
Oh, you had to read the Oh, you read the satirical piece about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yep. Changed my life. Anyways, from there they said she had promised to change, and they let her come over and would make sure there was no favoritism. Now this and the fact that around this time, one of my granddads passed and my mom's mother was declining in her health. And I think some other family stuff was happening as well, as my dad's mom was worsening health, and they didn't want to take our granny and that relationship away from us at a young age, especially everything that's happening. They generally believed that she had changed and didn't want their problems with one another to affect me and my sister's relationship with our only granny. I also got them to explain to me what they meant with me telling them sooner. And what they meant was they had known earlier they would have fully cut her out of our lives and made sure I knew it had nothing to do about me and it was her own misconstruct thoughts that she acts the way she does. They apologized. And over, I've seen my dad that upset before. Man, that is very upsetting.
Wow, that is very upsetting.
You don't have to be upset after this story because you can go to your favorite freaking podcast platform, search up OK Story Time, and there you'll be happy with stories of all kind.
That is true.
With great advice. So you don't have to be upset.
Yeah. Okay, story time.
Yeah, they just got to block her off.
Yeah, I feel like with someone like this, you can't really just convince them to just like, hey, can you like be nice now?
Yeah.
You know, she's not gonna get it. She's not gonna know how to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, why is she like copying and pasting these relationships, you know?
Yeah, I totally know.
So in short, they genuinely thought my granny had changed due to past experiences, and they never knew she was treating me and my sister differently. I love my mom and my dad. I don't blame them. I've never blamed them because I always thought something was wrong with me or that I was defective. The only thing I wish I could do is tell my younger self I wasn't the problem. I wasn't crazy for believing that Granny didn't like or love me. I just wish I could tell her she was I just wish I could tell her she wasn't defective. She was a child. Thank you all again for the comments. I really appreciate it more than you know what to do. Her health has been declining, and I don't know what to do. Yay, that was a story.
Yes.
Our years of friendship were ruined just because of a bachelor party.
Just because of a party?
I, 30 female, wanted to share this story because it's been the bane of mine and my close friend's summer. It's coming to a head soon, and thank God it'll finally be over. My partner, Ken, 30 male, has been close friends with Billy, 30 male, for about 15 or 20 years. Ken and his other close friends, Alan and Will, also both 30, were excited to be groomsmen for Billy's upcoming wedding. The best man, Tate, 30 male, was part of this friend group until a few years ago when he was banned from Alan's house. By the way, this comes from user BPBS 2023, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
Hello, I'm Keon.
And we're here to give you good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so if you do something different, let us know in the comments. And OP says, Ken had also noticed Tate constantly bothered women and decided to keep his distance. They all keep civil in social situations, but Alan and Ken realized there's no need to keep Tate in their lives. A few months before the bachelor party, Tate suggested Las Vegas for a weekend. Some groomsmen have that kind of disposable income, but over half don't. Being in a wedding means some expenses are assumed, but a big trip across the country is too much to ask when you live in Iowa. Eventually, they decided against Vegas, but Tate made no other plans. A couple of months later, Tate asked everyone if the weekend of May the 25th worked. This seemed random, being 3 months before the wedding, but it seemed fine. About a month before that weekend, the dates and city were sent out. They found out it was a 4-day, Friday through Monday, joint bachelor/bachelorette party in Indiana, about 5 hours away. A couple of weeks before the party, after groomsmen were asking what they were even doing there and how much money they needed, they finally received a loose itinerary. Friday would be a chill arrival day with dinner. Saturday was a joint beach day. Sunday was the individual bride-groom day. And Monday would be the departure day. When the guys thought that party was just 2 days, when the guys thought the party was just 2 days and one night, everyone was okay with this. It's reasonable to ask for one night for a bachelor party. However, at least 3 groomsmen found 4 days difficult due to financial burden and stress on family. They told Billy they really wanted to celebrate him, but the 4-day trip was too much. They offered to throw him an additional party in town so everyone could celebrate, and he could have his destination party on top of it. Billy quickly nixed that idea and said if they weren't going on this trip, they wouldn't be part of the celebration. The 3 friends worked through their budgets and work schedules and family obligations to figure out how to make it work. They were all able to go for at least 3 of the days, arriving late Saturday, being there all day Sunday and leaving Monday. Ken shared some private information to explain why he wasn't comfortable being gone for so long. Billy said he totally understood and appreciated they'd all be there. Alan had a family wedding to attend during the day on Saturday, which had been RSVP'd to well in advance. Ken and Will planned to pick Alan up after the wedding and head to Indiana. They'd missed the joint day, which they didn't care about anyway, and be there for Billy's day. Billy okayed this schedule, and the boys were relieved. Then Alan's partner, 30 female, received a message from Billy's fiancée, Kelly. Kelly said she knows it's a huge ask, But since Billy's increasingly disappointed about his bachelor party weekend, and since Ken and Will probably won't be there the full 4 days, would Alan be able to skip the wedding and go to the bachelor party instead? Kelly said she doesn't know anything about this wedding, but she doesn't like seeing Billy so sad. Also, don't mention this message to Billy because he doesn't know she sent it. Alan's partner was flabbergasted. Why would she need to give permission for her adult partner to do something? Also, Billy had agreed to the schedule. The family member getting married was on Alan's side, and clearly an actual wedding has more weight than a bachelor party. Alan's partner explained their situation to Kelly, who seemed to understand at the time. A few days later, Ken was hanging out with Billy during their weekly get-together when Billy got a call from Tate. He said he'd talk to him later and then became distant to text Tate the rest of the night. Ken was charging his phone, so he had no idea what was coming. As he walked to his car, he saw that Will had informed the groomsmen group chat about their Saturday night through Monday plan. Immediately after that timestamp, Billy had received the call from Tate. Ken then saw a new group chat between Tate, Ken, Alan, and Will. Tate was angry with them for not being there to support Billy, and that Billy was the glue that holds them all together. Ken was very upset and stated that the schedule was already discussed with Billy, who understood. Ken shared his very private reason for not making it 4 days and said Alan and Will shouldn't have to divulge their private reasons either. They're all adults and don't need to give excuses or explanations for what they decide to do. Billy then created a group chat with Alan, Ken, and Will, stating he didn't know why any of this was happening and why they couldn't just go the whole time. This threw everyone for a loop because this had already been discussed. Billy said he understood. Now, after talking with Tate behind everyone's back, while Ken was right there with him, he seems to have totally forgotten the previous conversations. Due to this sudden change, Alan and Will spoke with Billy individually, divulging their own personal reasons for not being able to attend. It came out that Kelly was insisting everyone be there for the joint day because of a booze cruise they had already spent money on. None of the boys cared about the joint day. The bachelorette party meant nothing to them. They were there for Billy and his bachelor party. In the discussion Billy had with Alan, Alan shared that his partner was pregnant. Billy immediately apologized that it wasn't getting the pomp and circumstance that it deserved, but at least it's a silver lining with all the chaos. Then he said if Alan wasn't going to make it to the booze cruise, he was no longer invited to the bachelor party.
This is ridiculous.
Dude, you're whack. Enjoy your wife. Enjoy your life. I'm done. I'm backing out. You're being so weird. You're being obtuse.
Weird. Yeah, dude. Where is this? Like, especially when you guys had a previous conversation about this, we're like, all right, everything's cool, and then like, the plan has changed.
Alan said he understood, but was crushed. Ken tried to convince Billy that you can't just uninvite Alan, one of his oldest friends, because of a scheduling oversight and an inconvenience at a party. Billy said Alan had made his own tough decision and now Billy was making his. Will decided to go Friday through Sunday to keep some peace. Ken wasn't sure if he'd go at all. The thought of abandoning Alan was getting to him. He also didn't want to leave Will in the lurch, making him travel 5 hours alone. Ken realized if Billy was able to hurt Alan, possibly causing irreparable harm over attending a booze cruise, Billy wasn't really a friend to any of them. In the end, he decided to go with Will Friday through Sunday, but only so Will didn't have to go alone. Will and Ken had a great road trip together. Once they arrived, Billy pretended everything was normal. No apologies for forcing the guys to divulge private information because he was being pushy and controlling. No apologies for contradicting himself and throwing a tantrum. No apologies for complaining about the situation behind their backs while Ken was right there. Nope, just a glad you two made it. Other than that, they had an okay night with the groomsmen. The following day, they were told to rush to the girls' house to get there on time. They didn't have time for breakfast. Will and Ken had planned and packed for the beach day with swim shorts, sandals, t-shirts, and beach towels. The guys were staying at an Airbnb about 15 minutes away, and the girls were staying at a bridesmaid's house. That's when Will and Ken realized the whole reason the bachelor party was happening in Indiana was so the girls wouldn't have to pay for lodging. Cool for the girls. Not sure why this had to be a joint bachelorette party anyway. None of them had met Kelly's friends, and after the wedding, they weren't going to see them again. When they got to the bridesmaid's house, no one was there. Tate barged in and then popped out of a balcony right above the front door and shouted, "No one's here!" The guys were seething. They skipped breakfast because they were told they had to get there on time. 40 minutes later, the girls came up through the backyard, which had a path to the beach. They said, "Oh, hey, guys, didn't know you were here." All of them were completely baked. Everyone gathered in the backyard, which was under a canopy of trees, making it 10 degrees colder. Then they found out they'd all been playing Beer Olympics. These are 30-year-olds, tired adults, not 21-year-olds. They were told they had to play flip cup, BP, a dizzy bat, shotgun race, and water balloon toss. They all played flip cup and BP and had some fun, but when it came to dizzy bat, no one was willing to put their head on a baseball bat and spin until dizzy. No one shotgunned any brewskis. Ken and Will didn't even drink anything because they hadn't had breakfast. After the Olympics, they finally got some beach time. They were there for about a half an hour, and then Billy's brother needed the restroom. Ken walked up to the house with him. They looked around the kitchen for snacks since they were famished, but all that was left were empty chip bags. In the time it took them to use the restroom and fail to find food, everyone was heading back to the house. Ken was sad there was nearly no beach for a beach day, but was happy to hear they were grilling out. By now it was mid-afternoon, and the guys were excited to finally eat. One groomsman made hamburgers. Ken grabbed the last one of the first batch. Several people still hadn't gotten a burger. That's when Grillmaster let them know that was the last burger, period.
Who planned this?
This is the worst. This is the worst.
Who planned this where you're like, we have 20 people, and we only have 6 patties, but I'm not going to let anyone know about it. Grillmaster messed up. Whoever bought this stuff, messed up. Whoever planned this stuff, all messed up. This is all messed up. This is not fun anymore. Like, I get stress planning and getting ready for the bachelor party or what have you, partying with everybody. Even if it's not a bachelor party, this is falling through the cracks really badly. I don't know.
Billy, Kelly, the maid of honor, and Tate hadn't planned enough food for everyone. Ken offered to split his burger, but the grillmaster said there was a pack of hot dogs he could make for everyone else. Not much happened after this. Will and Ken waited around while the girls partied loudly in the house. They were freezing, hungry, and just waited to go back to the Airbnb. Eventually, they left to get ready for the booze cruise. Kelly yelled at the guys that they better look nice. After being miserably cold all day, Will decided to wear his joggers, a nice button-up short-sleeve shirt, and bring his hoodie. Will also ordered pizza for the boys. He tried hinting to Tate that as best man, he should probably get food for everyone, especially the groom, before a night of drinking. He gave up and just ordered it himself. Kelly and the bridesmaids barged in shortly after the pizza arrived. Kelly judged them and said, "Oh, you got food?" Then they went straight to the back of the house to schmirk. When they came in, they took a bunch of the pizza without asking. She didn't even say thank you. So Will and Ken only got one slice each. Kelly then walked up to Will, looked him up and down, and in the snarkiest tone said, "Well, you look nice," with heavy sarcasm. He said, "Yeah, I'm warm." The ladies left as loudly as they arrived, and Kelly yelled that they better not be late and they better have cash because the cruise was cash only. The guys were all under the impression that the booze cruise was already paid for. Why would they need cash? And why were they just finding out now? They were a 15-minute walk from the marina. But after trying to gather enough cash and failing because it's 2023 and who has cash, they decided to just go. By now, they had to be there in less than 15 minutes, so they had to drive. They also realized they didn't actually know where they were going. Billy didn't know the name and said Kelly didn't tell him. Luckily, Alan and Will's partners and I had done research on booze cruises in the area a week earlier. Ken had it saved, and they were able to get there on time. They also found out it wasn't cash only. The cruise was happening on Lake Michigan. Ken has a phobia of deep, dark water. Will has a fear of not being able to see the shoreline while on a boat. And they were going out on open water at night. Ken was drinking like crazy to try to calm his nerves, but stayed completely sober as he white-knuckled through the boat ride. He learned deep panic level fear burns through booze.
Oh.
At one point, the DJ insisted the bride and groom go to the middle of the dance floor for Billy to give Kelly a lap dance. He kind of tried to say he didn't want to, but Kelly was there in the chair waiting, so he performed. Ken and Will were shocked at this severe change in behavior while looking away from the spectacle. Yeah, Kelly's making him worse. Kelly has turned Billy into a stranger. A husk.
Yeah, that's not Billy.
The Billy I know would never twerk on his wife.
Yeah, that's Kelly's partner.
After that, the DJ announced it was Kelly's turn. Tate was way too into this. Will, Ken, and Billy's brother all continued to look away because they really didn't want to see that. Tate wouldn't stop saying what a hero Kelly was. No one was surprised by how Tate reacted, though. In addition to constantly demeaning and feeling entitled to women, he does have a past with Kelly. No one's 100% sure if Billy's aware of Tate's past with Kelly, but during a break in the relationship about 8 years ago, Kelly, at the very least, had sent naked pictures to Tate. It just seemed a little odd to be sending noodles to one of your recent ex's best friends. Oh, also the kind of guy who would share these pictures with other members of the friend group. These other members didn't feel comfortable being shown these. I can't imagine Tate had consent to share those pictures. Perhaps Billy is well aware and they've worked everything out. I doubt it. It's just a strange dynamic. Anyway, that was the mandatory booze cruise. It was worth uninviting a groomsman and friend of over a decade, apparently. The following day sounds like it would have been enjoyable. The groomsmen went to breweries, axe throwing, and then a nice dinner. The girls went to a tattoo shop to get matching tattoos Kelly designed and coerced them to get.
That's brutal. I'm sorry. That's brutal.
Girl, I'm not doing that.
Sorry. If anyone's down to do that, again, it's your own free will, your own choice. But if I'm coerced and forced to get a tattoo that someone designed for me that was going to place it on my body, big no.
I heard they looked like line art, clip art of the Google location pin with either a tree, burger, or mountain. Well, that's the end of the bachelor party. Following this 4-day, 3 for Ken and Will, 0 for Alan, this 4-day extravaganza, the wedding is coming up this weekend. Again, the bridal party will all be staying for free in one of the bride's family's cabins. Billy, the groomsmen, and plus ones had to pay for another Airbnb. Alan's partner is very pregnant and had been planning on getting a hotel room. Ken and I were also planning on getting a hotel room because we both have sensory issues and anxiety. Before we could book our rooms, Alan mentioned the idea to Billy, who again said he understood. Then Kelly texted Alan saying he had better not abandon Billy again.
You know what? I'm going to respond. Have Billy talk to me, not you.
Yeah. I'm no longer carrying a conversation with you. By the time I put my foot down and said, no way, we need our own room for our own sanity, the last hotel room for less than $500 was booked, and I couldn't find anything else. So this weekend, Ken, Alan, Will, myself, and each of their partners, along with Billy and the rest of the groomsmen, will be staying under the same roof, 6 hours away in Michigan. Also, neither the bride nor groom are from Michigan. Kelly's from Illinois and Billy's from Iowa. Another odd tidbit, Billy thought the groomsmen would be staying with him for a week after the wedding. He booked the Airbnb for a week, thinking he'd be spending his honeymoon with his friends.
Sorry, big thing was he thought. He never asked.
What?
He never said anything. He thought.
Who
he
does
just
a
assumed.
friend vacation on their honeymoon?
For a week?
What is going? What?
When we were already struggling to get 4 days.
Ugh.
You want 7 now. After the 4.
The nightmare never ends.
It's a nightmare that keeps
The
growing.
nightmare. Ugh. That is the very lengthy story of how a bachelor party has ended friendships and caused so much stress. Heading to the wedding tomorrow. Wish us luck. And there's an update post-wedding.
Oh, man, I'm stressed out. And
Yeah.
I'm not even there.
Do
I
it.
don't want to because the nightmare's going to keep growing.
This is much shorter. Lots of complaints on the location, but it is what it is. Kelly was incredibly disrespectful to the event staff and groom. I witnessed one of these moments. My partner witnessed the other. All the events were a mess that could have been fixed by simple communication. Billy's family missed photos because they were never told about them. The bride screamed at the groom that if his effing family didn't want any effing photos, she didn't effing care. The groom ended up trying to contact them, but there wasn't much cell reception in middle of nowhere, Michigan. He did get a hold of Alan's partner and took his anger out on her. Heavily pregnant Alan's partner.
If I'm Alan, I'm like, honey, go in the car. We're leaving. And I'm giving him a mouthful.
Yeah.
And I'm giving Kelly 2 mouthfuls. And I'm out. I'm gonna take some of that food from the wedding too. Thanks. Don't talk to me.
I'm gonna ask Billy, what did the 5 fingers say to the face?
Slap!
She doesn't know Billy's family. So I'm not sure what we were supposed to do about that. By the way, I know you can listen to full episodes with stories sort of like this one. on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio. Just search OK Storytime. We have a little bit more story left. After this, I think my relationship with Billy is fundamentally broken.
I don't know who. That's not Billy though. Billy's gone. Billy's no longer a Power Ranger.
And Tate's weird. Tate, who hooked up with the fiance maybe and had photos, no one knows.
I was Billy's friend during the wedding, at least, or at some time through all of this, a big brother. What are you doing?
Yeah, you gotta have a heart-to-heart with him at some point if you did not, or if you have not.
Blink twice if you're happy.
You're getting screamed at your own wedding by your wife? Crazy work. Crazy work.
And also, I'd be like, brother, work on your communication skills. Not just with us, but with your wife now.
The morning of the wedding, Billy stated he needed to remind himself he wasn't marrying the Kelly he was seeing that weekend. He was marrying the Kelly who curls up in a blanket and watches TV with him. On the bridesmaid tattoo front, none of them got the designs done by Kelly. When they got to the tattoo shop, they decided to do a stock design palm tree for a Michigan beach wedding. That wasn't actually on a beach, but in a mediocre backyard of an inland venue. They had some photos on the beach of Lake Michigan. They trespassed on a private beach because the photographer liked it better than the public beach. But now we are done and to never have to deal with Billy and Kelly again, except for large social gatherings they could be at. And that is the end of that story.
Oh, man.
My sister-in-law is jealous of me, and now she's ghosting me.
Why are you so jealous?
I'm a bridesmaid in my sister-in-law's upcoming wedding. Let's call her Amy. She's engaged to my husband's brother. We've known each other for about 3 years. I've always known she can be a bit self-centered, but I never let it bother me too much. By the way, this comes from Marion Berry Ladder 209, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. As OP says, family dynamics can be tricky, and I figured it wasn't worth making a thing out of. Especially because, aside from that, we were really close and did a lot of things together. She quickly became a person I trusted and confided personal things to. In July, Amy asked me to be a bridesmaid. Her bachelorette party was in August, which happened to fall on my sister's birthday. Amy and my sister barely knew each other. They've only met twice, but Amy invited my sister to come along so I wouldn't have to miss her birthday. My sister has struggled with severe social anxiety her whole life, and about 2 weeks before the trip, she told me she couldn't go. She was feeling overwhelmed and wanted to celebrate quietly with her fiancé instead. I completely understood and apologized to Amy, explaining everything. I even told Amy to keep my sister's share of the Airbnb, which I paid, since it was late notice. She was kind about it and actually refunded me. I remember thinking it was really considerate of her. Amy's party was co-ed and she wanted my husband to come, so we both took Friday off work and went. The guys stayed in one house, the girls in another. The first night, Amy rented a party bus to go bar hopping. Everything was fun until the last bar. Amy got very wasted, pulled me aside, and started crying. Out of nowhere, she said she didn't like me because she was jealous of me and wishes she could be me for her fiancé. I was completely stunned. I tried to reassure her, telling her she was great and that her fiancé obviously loves her. But she just kept crying and repeating it. My mother-in-law and her best friend saw us and came over, and Amy told them the same thing. Later that night, she was so wasted that I carried her 3 blocks back to the Airbnb. When we got there, her sister had fallen asleep in my bed, so I had to sleep next to Amy. Right before she fell asleep, she looked at me and said, "I don't know why you're even here." The next night, we were supposed to go on a yacht cruise, but it rained, so the group did karaoke instead. All the girls were sitting together while I sat off to the side. Every time I cued a song, it got skipped. Even Amy's sister's husband came up to me and whispered, "Don't let the girls bully you." I said it was fine and ended up doing my own thing because I felt like I wasn't wanted there. I was talking to Amy's fiancé and his 2 sisters on the side while all the girls were playing karaoke, and Amy asked my husband to sing a song. He sang a song for his mom, my mother-in-law, and I thought it was really sweet. I was watching while also having a conversation with Amy's fiance and his 2 sisters on the side of the room. Then Amy suddenly stood up in front of everyone, pointed at me from across the room, and shouted, "Look, she's not even looking at him," referring to my husband. The rest of the bachelorette party happened without any other issues, but I was ready to get out of there as soon as possible. The bachelorette was in August. The bridal shower was scheduled for late September. I had just started a new position at my company on September 1st, while still finishing work from my old job until they hired my replacement. I was working from 7 a.m. to 9 or 10 p.m. almost every day, skipping meals just to stay afloat. This project was incredibly time sensitive and demanding that month. My birthday was September 18th, 3 days before the shower. Amy and her fiance didn't even text me happy birthday, which stung a little, but I brushed it off. Then, on Friday the 19th, my boss told me I'd have to work all weekend. I pushed back and said I had a bridal shower Sunday, but she told me there was nobody else who could do the work and the project was time sensitive. We agreed that if I finished early, I could still go. I texted Amy, "Hey, I'm so sorry, but I might not be able to make it to the bridal shower this weekend. I'm being asked to work Saturday and Sunday if I can't get enough done today. I'm trying my best to get it all done, but wanted to give you adequate notice." Her reply was, "Well, that would really suck and would be super disappointing. I hope you'll be able to make it. Let me know whenever you find out, though, because we'll need someone else to bring the charcuterie board then."
She just wants your charcuterie board?
Yeah, don't say
You
it.
can't say
You
that,
can't say
Keon.
that, Keon. What are you
literally
doing?
can't say that. Nah, man. I'm just imagining OP has like the best charcuterie boards in the land.
Yeah, and she, you know what? The bride, she doesn't deserve your charcuterie board. That message hurt. I felt like the only reason I mattered was because I was supposed to bring food. A few hours later, I texted back, "Hey, at this point, I don't think I'm going to make it. I know for sure I need to work this weekend." She just replied, "Okay." And that is okay. 2 weeks went by without a word from her. On October 2nd, I texted asking if she still wanted to go to a concert I'd bought tickets for months earlier. A $450 birthday gift for her. But I even offered to pick her up and take her to dinner first at a restaurant that does pasta flights because she loves Italian food. Yeah.
Like you get multiple things of pasta?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a pasta tasting.
Done a pasta flight.
Yeah, me and Keon did one in Santa
Where?
Monica.
Santa
And
Monica?
it was very good.
Where I live, I can go get a
You can
pasta
go.
flight.
You can get pasta flight.
It was a really good pasta
It was
flight.
a really good pasta flight.
I'm so hungry.
Why are you
She
looking at
wants
the
a
camera
pasta
like
flight.
you're gonna eat? Oh no.
Marconi almonds?
Maybe.
You didn't even know for sure.
You were like, that's I don't know.
It sounds like it could be something.
She ignored the text. After 5 days, I called and left a voicemail because the concert was in 4 days and I still hadn't heard from her. The next day, she finally replied, "I'm going to be honest here, even though I feel really awkward. I'm still very hurt that you didn't come to my bridal shower as one of my bridesmaids. I don't want to be fake and pretend that everything is fine when I need more time. So I am not going to go on Sunday. I hope you can find someone else to take the ticket or be able to sell it, and I hope you and your sister have a great time." I was so taken aback that I texted her this. "Wow, this is really surprising and feels incredibly unfair. I feel like I haven't even had the chance to talk this through with you, but if you'd rather do this over text, that's fine." That week, I was working nonstop from 7 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. every day, skipping lunches and dinners just to try to get enough done to make it to your bridal shower. It was also my birthday that week, and I didn't even celebrate. I just worked so I could be there for you. I know how important this time is for you, and after 2 years of knowing me, I would have hoped you'd know I'd never miss something like that unless it was truly out of my control. I didn't choose to miss it. I was told on Friday that I had to work through the weekend, and even when I refused, my boss said I didn't have a choice. I understand if you need some space, but I also feel like we won't be able to get back to a good place if I don't even have the opportunity to show up for you. I spent over $450 on these tickets for your birthday because I really wanted to do something special for you. And it just feels unfair that you'd hold me needing to work against me and not want to go. I called you yesterday because I had a feeling you were still upset, and I was hoping we could talk it out instead of doing this over text. Her response: if you sensed I was upset, I'm not sure why that's surprising. When you only sent 2 short texts, it felt like the shower wasn't a big deal for you. If you had called or even explained your work situation more in text, I could have understood. It's been over 2 weeks and I haven't heard anything from you just about the concert. If you knew I was upset, why wouldn't you have done that in the 2 weeks? I'm not trying to fight or go back and forth. I care about you, which is why I'm being honest and not making up some random excuse. My feelings were hurt and still are, and that's valid.
The thing is that I don't know why OP, I mean, like, I get that. I think OP's just a very nice person. But I don't really understand why you feel like you need to explain all of this
Right.
to a person who said they hate you.
But want to be you.
Honestly, that's worse. Her reason for hating you is pure jealousy.
Right.
It's
Which
like,
she
you
knows,
did
which
nothing
is so
wrong.
weird.
But
There
it-
isn't even
Yeah.
anything that you can fix. There's nothing that you can do better.
And we still haven't even talked about, like, they have not had a conversation about the karaoke night.
No.
Which is insane.
So, like, truly, I'd just be like,
Hey, remember when you told me you didn't
Yeah.
want me and screamed across the karaoke bar?
I feel like you don't want me as your bridesmaid, so
Yeah.
perfect. I can't make it. Like, we
Sorry.
don't need to have all this, like, back and forth when, again, this person hates you.
I told my husband everything. He thought the whole thing was ridiculous and that she was taking it way too far. But he also told me I should probably try to be the bigger person because she's going to be family no matter what. He wasn't wrong. We're going to see her for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and her destination wedding, which we've already spent over $8,000 on. So even though I didn't think I owed her another apology, I sent one final text. Hey, I get what you're saying, and I really am sorry that it came across that way. I completely understand that your feelings are valid. If I were in your shoes and I felt like a close friend didn't care, I'd probably feel hurt too. That said, I did try to communicate at the time that I might not be able to make it and that I was working around the clock to still try. I honestly thought that message explained the situation enough. But looking back, I see how it might have felt a bit brief or distant, especially since I didn't follow up afterwards when things calmed down. That wasn't because I didn't care, it's because I was completely drained and trying to catch up on everything that fell behind that week. I really do value you and our friendship, and the last thing I want was for you to think I didn't care about your shower or you. I hope we can talk this through when you're ready. I'd rather not let something that was never about a lack of care, but more so a communication issue, create more distance between us. She replied, I actually really, really appreciate that. And that was 3 weeks ago. No other message, no follow-up, no effort. I found out later from my husband that she told her fiance she wasn't going to the concert to prove a point to me and my sister. That if we could miss things, then so could she. I thought that was incredibly petty, especially considering I missed the bridal shower because it was completely out of my control. And my sister backed out of the Bachelorette due to her severe anxiety and mental health struggles. If she were just a friend, I'd probably have stepped back and let the relationship fade, but she's family. And we're already financially and emotionally committed to being at her wedding.
I'm sorry that she's trying to prove a point. Like, she's so prideful. She's like, yeah, I'm proving a point. And I guarantee you, everyone's like,
What's
what
the point?
Right.
Yeah,
What's the point?
what's your point? You just, that's for you, but okay. Don't you want to see that band? Yeah, but no.
Yeah, but not as much as I want to prove a point.
I ultimately do not want to be a bridesmaid in her wedding because of all of this. But my husband told me I should grin and bear it.
Shut up, husband. You grin and bear it. Stop it. Stop making your wife grin and bear it.
He's like, but she messed up my karaoke song. And I had to just get past it. So
I had
sorry
to continue
you.
the song.
You know
I had
how
to
hard
keep
it is
singing.
to sing My Heart Will Go On when it's been ruined?
When you're crying inside.
My heart couldn't go on.
That's so hard.
And potentially hope that she'll be the one to reach out and ask me to step down as a bridesmaid, but she's been no contact for about 4 weeks now. Am I supposed to continue initiating contact in the situation, or would you wait for her to reach out? We have an update. I will say the bride-to-be was the last one to send a text. I
Yeah.
do think she should have sent another one. I would guess, though, in that situation, that she is expecting OP
You to- yes.
to be the next to text.
Well, I mean, it's been pretty clear that she's wanting, this whole time, she's been wanting OP to be the kind of instigator of any,
Right.
apologies.
And I feel like that's exactly, like, their whole text
Yeah.
conversation was, like, you didn't reach out. And now it's like, okay, I don't think you needed to reach out again, OP. However, I do think that's what she's waiting for.
I agree. Yeah. I think if you're wondering about this specific situation, she's probably waiting for you to reach out. However, I don't think we should even go to the wedding. Or maybe you go to the wedding, but you're not a bridesmaid.
Yeah, I think
I
you
would-
could
I would
reach
drop
back
out
out
of
to
that.
just step back from your duties.
Yeah. I'd be
And you
like,
can
"Hey."
totally frame it just as like, hey, like, I don't want to be missing out on your
Yeah.
big, like, on my duties as a bridesmaid. So I'm just going to step down. Like, I'll be at the wedding. I'll be there to support you and
Yeah.
I'll help where I can. But, like,
That's
I
it.
don't want to keep disappointing you by not making my bridesmaid's duties.
Put it
or
on
something.
her, but in a sneaky way.
Update. In a nutshell, here's what happened. She's engaged to my husband's brother, and I'm one of her bridesmaids. We used to be close, but things went downhill after I couldn't attend her bridal shower because of work. She went no contact afterward and later told people she skipped a concert I had bought tickets for her to prove a point. After nearly a month of silence, I finally drove an hour to talk with her in person. I wanted to clear the air before her wedding and hopefully get some closure. Instead, I left feeling smaller, frustrated, and strangely relieved because now I know exactly who she is. Before this meeting, I had already tried reaching out multiple times. I texted, called, left a voicemail, and even messaged her on the gram, but she stayed silent for weeks. We eventually had a tense exchange over text where she said she needed space. So I respected that and gave her time. Then 3 weeks later, I found out from her fiance that she'd been waiting for me to reach out again, even though she was the one who asked for space in the first place. Still, I wanted peace, so I asked to meet. When I arrived, she acted like nothing was wrong, cheerful, chatty, and completely normal. We made small talk for a bit, and then she asked me to start the serious part of the conversation. I told her I felt that my 2 initial texts after the bridal shower were apologetic and explanatory. If she didn't feel that way, I wished she'd just said something instead of ignoring me for weeks. I reminded her I'd reached out multiple times because I could tell she was upset, but I had no idea about what. I said I hadn't realized she was still angry about the shower since I'd already apologized and explained that I was being forced to work that weekend.
You have not done anything wrong in any scenario.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you had done something wrong and then apologized and then she was still mad, I would still be like, well, that's messed up. Like, you apologized and
Yeah.
she's still mad. You literally are just existing. She hates you. You
She's
apologize
jealous
for
of
her
you.
hating you. And then you get called
Literally.
into work. She's upset that you can't get off work.
She didn't wish you a happy birthday.
She didn't wish you, like,
This is all stepping down to OP's charcuterie boards.
yes.
The charcuterie's too good.
It was
It's
too
too
good. She was. I
good.
guarantee you, she was hyping it up, and
And then
she's
she
like,
couldn't
guys,
bring it.
the best part of this bridal shower,
Marcona almonds on that
charcuterie.
board.
Yeah, and she probably went to go to a store and buy like one of those like bland ones where you don't even make
Dude,
you don't even make it.
Don't even bring those, honestly. If you're coming to one of my parties and you're bringing me one of those little plastic charcuterie boards, don't even come.
At least put some thought into
Don't
it.
even don't call
I don't
me.
e- don't
Don't
call
come by
me.
my
I don't even-
house. We're
Who
done.
are you?
Then I told her that when I learned she skipped the concert I bought for her birthday to prove a point, it felt like she was trying to emotionally punish me for something that was beyond my control. Like she was treating me as disposable. I said that really hurt, especially after all the effort I'd made to make peace. Finally, I'd asked if I'd ever done anything that made her feel like I didn't care about her. She said my texts weren't enough, that they were too short and felt like a hand to her face. Felt like a hand to her face. She said other bridesmaids missed her shower too, but they were more apologetic, and she expected more from me after the way she showed up for me at my wedding that was a few days before her shower. She said she went above and beyond by staying up late with me, trying to get my dad to dance, and more. For context, I never planned to dance with my dad because he doesn't dance. She pushed the issue at my wedding, made it awkward, and now used that as an explanation of how she'd gone above and beyond. She also said I was supposed to help plan her shower with another bridesmaid and that my lack of involvement made her feel like I didn't care. I told her I did reach out to that bridesmaid, and she told me not to worry about it. Amy brushed that off completely. Then she compared me to our other sister-in-law and said, "You made me feel like you don't care about me, like how I don't care about her." That comment really stung, especially since she caused a huge scene at that sister-in-law's bachelorette too. She told me she had to reach out to me after I said I might not make it, which isn't true. I was the one who texted her to confirm I couldn't attend. She only replied once to say it was disappointing and that she'd need someone else to bring the charcuterie board I'd signed up for.
God, that's disappointing. Guess
Right
no
back to
charcuterie
that.
this time.
Right back to the charcuterie.
Aw,
told you guys,
man.
It stems,
You really can't make it?
stems from a really good charcuterie board. If
It's
you
just too good.
if you have that talent, you're known for it.
Yeah.
She said when I eventually explained my full work situation, then she understood and would have been fine with it if she'd known. I told her I didn't share all the details at the time because I didn't want to dump my stress on her right before her shower. I wanted her to enjoy her day. She didn't respond to that at all. At one point, she told me she hadn't told anyone in the family about what happened and that one of our cousins keeps asking her to go out drinking, but she's been turning them down so I won't feel left out. It sounded less like kindness and more like, I could make you look bad or exclude you, but I'm being generous.
This is so frustrating. She literally now she's saying that I'm skipping other events for you. You're making me skip other events.
Right. Girl, just invite me to the other events.
She honestly don't invite
weird.
me. Just go to the other events and leave me out of it.
Right. I don't want to be there. Eventually, she said she still wants me as a bridesmaid and doesn't want me to feel left out or disposable. The irony wasn't lost on me because that's exactly how she made me feel for months. I told her that next time it would help if she communicated instead of shutting down. She said likewise. Then I asked if we were okay, and she said yes and hugged me. And immediately I regretted asking because it let her feel like she'd forgiven me, as if she was being gracious, when she hadn't taken accountability for a single thing she did. Driving home, I felt frustrated and angry.
This is the language that I'm talking about. It made her feel like she had, or like I had accepted, like the forgive OP is my
Right.
point. Yeah. Like she accepted my apology. I made her feel like she had forgiven me.
Right.
When you have
We didn't
done
need
nothing wrong.
Right. And we're kind of just encouraging her to keep
Yes.
doing it because
Yes.
you're just roundabout apologizing.
Because she
You're-
knows that
You-
every time she's upset or whatever, you'll just cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're enabling
you
this
need an
behavior.
apology
Just cower
too,
to her.
OP.
Yeah.
You're enabling for her to have this mentality of like she's wrong. I mean, she's right in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
when you have
exactly.
done nothing wrong.
I realized I'd apologized again, even though I'd already done it before, and she still hadn't once apologized to me. Not for ignoring me, not for punishing me, not for twisting the story. I hate that she framed herself as the forgiving one and me as the person who needed forgiveness. And I hate that I drove an hour each way just to leave feeling drained. It hit me that the whole conversation wasn't about resolution for her, it was about control. She wanted to be in a position where she could say she'd moved past it without ever having to look at what she did. Her wedding is coming up soon, my husband is the best man, and I'm still a bridesmaid.
Why? Why?
I don't know. I feel
Why
like
are you still a bridesmaid?
your husband's also just compliant to this notion of like, yeah, you did something wrong. She
I
didn't
don't
do
like
much.
your husband though.
Yeah.
Like your husband keeps making you feel like you did something wrong and you need to apologize and you just
Yeah.
need to like let it happen and let them walk all over you. No.
It's like, why is no one going to her and being like, hey,
Yeah.
you're being really mean?
You're being
Everyone-
really mean,
What are you
Jopi.
doing?
Why is everyone letting her get away with it?
Yeah.
You can't keep getting away with this.
can't keep getting away with this.
But you guys can keep getting away with listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and search up OK Storytime. We've got just a little bit left.
Just a wee
But
bit.
Final thoughts.
I would not be in her bridal party at the
Yeah.
very least. maybe
Yeah,
I go
definitely
to
not
the
a
wedding,
bridesmaid.
but not a bridesmaid.
I think I'd go as a guest just because it is such a family thing, but
Yeah.
I think I'd be like, I really don't think I'm the one to be a
Yeah.
bridesmaid for you.
And you need to have a conversation with your husband and say, hey,
Yeah.
I get that you don't want to cause trouble, but it's hurting me. At this
Right.
point, I am being affected.
I can't just keep apologizing for not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
But also,
Ridiculous.
but also, Opie, you gotta stop apologizing for nothing.
Yes. One, your husband needs to stop pushing you to do that. Two, you need to stand up for yourself and say, I didn't do anything wrong.
Right. Where's my apology from you?
I mean, you literally said it. You're like, that wasn't even. What was the reason I went there? Was no reason
Yeah.
to drive 2 hours, pretty much.
Yeah, it was 2 hours, hour each way.
2 hours. You should only be driving 2 hours for fun things.
If it weren't for family optics and the money already spent, I'd step down in a heartbeat. For now, I'm choosing to keep things polite and detached. Show up, do what's required, smile for the photos, and protect my energy. I've stopped trying to repair a relationship that only survives on her terms. I've realized she confuses control with closeness and silence with strength. She doesn't communicate, she punishes. And no matter how many times I apologize or explain myself, she'll always find a new way to remind me that I fell short. Am I in the wrong for still feeling angry and detached after this? Or do other people also see the red flags and think this is someone I should start setting serious boundaries with?
Set those boundaries.
Set 'em.
Set those
Set
boundaries.
Yeah.
She can be upset. You can say things to upset her. Like, if they're your actual feelings. Like, I'm not saying, like, go and be mean. I'm saying, like, if you are feeling a certain way and she's just not gonna like you talking about it,
Yeah.
boo-hoo. You have to talk about it.
You
Sometimes you
gotta
have to have hard conversations, guys. I uninvited my sister to my son's birthday party after she ignored him.
Yeah, she would probably want his gifts too if she came.
And this comes directly from the OK Storytime subreddit. Me, 27 female, and my oldest sister, 36 female, about to be 37, do not get along, especially now as we got older. Ever since I can remember, she's truly been awful. By the way, this comes from Commercial Time 7696. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Dakota.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. I've always given her grace because she had a terrible childhood, but I can no longer give grace for that anymore. Me and my sister pretty much always never got along. My mother left me in a different state with her when I was 14. Then sister and I got close. I was always close with my two nephews she had. Oldest is 6 years younger than me, and middle is about to be 18, and then youngest is 8 years old. I worked and all my money went to her. My sister always did, in a lot of ways, have my back. She didn't have to keep me when my mom abandoned me, but she did, which I'm grateful for. We moved back. I'm working 2 jobs, helping with bills, and her kids at the age of 15, not going to school. She gets all my money. We get into a fight. I move back in with my mom. I had my daughter, as well as both my sisters and my little brother all had our babies the same year, 2017. So we all got really close with the kids being the same age. Me and my oldest sister stayed fighting, making up, fighting, and making up. Fast forward to about 3 years ago, I've really started to distance myself from my oldest sister, but I let my daughter be around her and go over there. I tried hard to keep a relationship with her. She'd say stuff about how no one cared about her in this family and she wished she just stayed in the other state away from us. I told her that we all invite her to do things, but she denies it all the time. So me and my other sister, we will call her Jill, and my oldest sister, Betty, ended up hanging out without her because she just would always say no. I eventually wouldn't ask her to do certain things because Betty would always say no. She got upset about that and was like, well, you could at least ask. I explained how much it hurt every time she said that she wished she was never around us. She has put no effort into changing anything and just cries that we're all excluding her and her children, and we treat them less than. We've actually walked on eggshells around her and have gone out of our way to overpay my nephews for jobs like cutting the grass, getting them gifts so she wouldn't feel excluded. She was never satisfied. I got with my fiance and we now have a son together who's about to be 1. Before I had him, I was at my mother's with both my sisters and their kids. I've not been really speaking to Betty that much, just being cordial. Well, everyone goes outside. It's just me and her in the dining room, and I go to make small talk. I started talking about my daughter's hair and how I struggle to keep her curls and her hair from drying. Betty brought up her hair, saying it does the same thing. I said, Mom used something in my daughter's hair and it was really good. Made her hair soft, not dry, and her curls lasted. I don't know what it was though. Betty gets offended and starts going in on me about none of us know how much she takes care of her hair and how much money she spends on her hair products. I just said okay and tried to change the subject. Later that evening, I heard her tell our niece no very rudely. All I said was, dang, Betty, that was a little mean. Evening goes fine. My daughter asks to stay the night with Betty and her cousin, who's the same age. They were really close. I said yes. Betty let my niece hang out for a while too, but not stay the night because she's too much. I get a call from Betty that the kids, her son and my daughter, were not treating our niece nicely. She tells me she got into them and then tells me when she was talking, she said, we don't bully. And my daughter said, why? I told her to give the phone to my kid because she knows why we don't bully, and that's inexcusable. And she does not speak to her aunt that way. As I'm getting on to my daughter, telling her she will have a consequence when she comes home, Betty gets mad at something, takes the phone from my daughter, and starts going off on me about getting on to my daughter. I told her I'm not undermining her. I was backing her up, and I agree with her getting on to the kids, but I do not agree with how my daughter spoke to her. Betty isn't having it. She keeps cutting me off, says I hurt her feelings before about her hair, then starts going off about my niece and how she's a lot to handle, and I really just saying a bunch of bad things about her. I couldn't get a single word in. My fiance got mad and finally told her to stop talking about our niece like that. Betty backtracks, says she didn't say anything bad about her. Her and my fiance are arguing. I kind of froze. She hangs up, blows my phone up with at least 13 texts saying, I'm different now that I'm with someone and I always change. Blows my fiance's Blue app up and blocks him. I call her, she ignores me, so I said I'm picking up my kid. I get there and she has my kid out the door with her stuff. Turns out the story Betty told me wasn't the truth. Me and Betty get into an argument that night. I told family I was done, but everyone begged for me to show up to family events and just be cordial. So I did. During this time, she never asked about my son, asked about his name. Instead, she blames everyone else for the reason she didn't know his name. I had my son. My daughter was with my mother and nephew, Betty's son. My mother had to leave and Betty had my daughter. I didn't like it, but I was trying to be cordial and mend the relationship with Betty. I told her I wanted to talk, but not yet because I had my son and I didn't want to be hormonal. She agreed and said she had a lot going on apparently too. I let her see my son when he was born. I stayed cordial and a few months go by. She asks if my daughter can stay the night. I said she cannot stay the night until we discuss the last incident. She said she didn't want to because it would just cause a fight.
That's the most exhausting perspective to have on talking out your problems. No, we can't have a discussion about that because I'm just going to make it impossible, is
Right.
what she meant.
I apologized for the way I worded getting on to my kid, making it seem like I was undermining her. I apologized for not stepping in and finishing the conversation with her since she is my sister. She calls, says she can't read it. I said, well, let me read it to you on the phone. She said, okay. As I'm reading, she keeps cutting me off. Well, what about this? What about my fiance? As I'm currently reading and apologizing. Then she says, well, if we're going to talk about this, then we need to bring up everything from the past. I said, we don't, but if you have something you want to bring up, then we can another time. But right now, this is about this. She's just cutting me off, being rude, and mocking my apologies. Then is like, well, what else? And I'm like, Betty, I don't know what the heck you want from me. I took accountability. I apologized, and I said I'll fix it. There is nothing else I can do. She just keeps on cutting me off, so I finally snap. I tell her to just shut up and let me talk, and she'd get her answers. I said I'm trying to be a good sister and work with her, communicate and fix this relationship, and she's being impossible. She hangs up. I texted something along the same lines and told her to leave me alone. This was almost exactly a year ago. I didn't want anything to do with her, but my family asked me to continue to be cordial at family events. So I do, but we're not friends on the Blue app. We don't text and we don't hang out. And at family events, I keep my communication very limited with her. She didn't come to my daughter's birthday, but dropped off a gift with my mom. My son's birthday party's coming up. I have stayed cordial with my sister in the family chat, showed up to events, and kept the communication to a minimum. I invited everyone in the group chat to my son's birthday, including Betty. We made small talk in the chat and liked each other's kids' pictures. She would comment on my kids when I shared pictures. We lost my youngest nephew just shy of 2 months. He passed away, so that situation kind of broke the no communication as we all needed to be there for our sister Jill. This is what brought small communication between me and Betty. Well, with the government shut down, Betty posts about WIC and EBT being shut down. We talk in the chat a little. My fiance, just being goofy, puts that the president is using tariffs to fund it. Yes, we are red and sister is blue. My sister doesn't ask nicely or anything. She just gets offended and extremely rude to my fiance instead of just saying, hey, can we not talk about politics? Says my fiance is rage baiting her. My fiance apologized. I told her the way she went about it being so rude to him was not right and he wasn't rage baiting her. She could have just asked nicely. She leaves the family chat. Someone adds her back in.
Well, yeah, I mean, you just got to think about she's being like, yeah, it's going to be hard to feed my family.
Right.
And he's just like, yeah, Trump's got it.
Ever since then, she's completely ignored anything to do with my kids in the chat. She'll ignore pictures of them or my daughter winning her sports tournaments, but has commented or liked my other nieces and nephews' pictures and activities. Like she's purposely being petty towards my kids. My mom tells me she already said no to coming to my son's birthday party. So I decided to text her and ask her if she was coming. She ignored my text, but texted in the group chat. This was it for me. Not coming to your nephew's birthday party because you and his father have different political beliefs. So I text her telling her, out of all our fights our whole lives, I've always been there for her children and I always will. And her treating my kids less than was pitiful. I told her after everything, I still tried to include her in the kids' lives. Especially my daughter's, because she wanted a relationship with her aunt. Betty's youngest son's birthday was right before my daughter's. I brought up how she didn't even invite my daughter to it. I told her I was done now and will no longer be cordial at family events. Me and my family will literally not speak to her, and she was no longer invited to my son's birthday, but her son was if someone else could bring him. She didn't respond, so I figured she blocked me. Well, I was wrong. Jill posts in the family chat about her kids. Guess who responds? Yep, Betty. Our other sister says something about her kid. Betty responds to that again. So I called her out in the group chat. Wow, Betty, replying about other people's kids because you like those family members while you actively ignore my kids and treat my kids differently because you don't agree with Mitchell and I? You actually have mental problems that you would treat daughter and son differently, and it's pathetic and extremely low even for you. Being petty about my kids or to my kids off limits, and that's all I have left to say. But I hope you guys agree with me when I say that you should go listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime.
It's getting to a point where I don't think anyone's going to want to fix it because everyone's just going to be too petty. And too latched on to like petty? The fight of it.
I really could have gotten over her being ridiculous to me and my fiance, but to act like this towards my kids is just beyond me. She didn't respond. Actually, no one said anything. Because no one says anything to her because they're afraid or don't want to deal with her rants and outbursts. It's only me that ever says something. She says I've changed, and I know I have. I'm healing from trauma and I'm maturing, so of course I won't be the same person 6 years ago. Am I the a-hole or am I in the right for officially cutting ties with Betty? And that is the end of that story. My thing is like, okay, if you're just gonna go and cut ties, sure. You can't expect the whole family to do that, but if you're like, yeah, I'm done with it, sure. My advice would be to maybe try therapy first. I planned my friend's bachelorette party and ended up with my bank account frozen.
Did your friends steal your money?
32 female was asked to be part of a bridal party for my husband's longtime friend and his soon-to-be wife, 29. I accepted, assuming this would be a good way to bond with the bride more, despite her bridal party being a bunch of women she had previously already soured my opinion of. By the way, this comes from Boring Spinach 6370, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, a week or so later, the bride texted me asking if I would help plan the bachelorette party since her maid of honor, 22, was unable to do so because she had never planned a trip outside of Disney World before. I stupidly agreed, thinking this was another great bonding opportunity for the bride and me. Besides, I was supposed to have help from the mother-in-law, so the burden wasn't supposed to be fully on me. We started planning in a group chat with the bride, maid of honor, and myself. The bride said she wanted a lake house vibe with a Parent Trap summer camp theme, but also wanted it somewhere that would require sweaters and coziness. My family has a house in upstate New York that we could use free of charge. I offered that, and the bride was seemingly all excited for it. She didn't want us to run it by the other 3 ladies in the bridal party, so we didn't. When we were selecting the dates for the party, the bride said she didn't care when as long as it was sweater weather. Sweater weather.
Oh, God, sweater weather.
And that the maid of honor and I could attend. Again, no running it by the other ladies. Once we selected dates, the bride said to send out the invite. Since the maid of honor was hardly responding other than telling me what dates she could make it, and denying the selected dates by the bride and me due to my honeymoon, as I had just gotten married as well, I went ahead and made an invite. I was given approval from both the bride and maid of honor to send it, so I did. During the planning for the day today, I attempted to coordinate with the maid of honor. She would agree with all of my game suggestions and schedule ideas. It was easier for me to pitch ideas since I know the area, the house, the lake, etc. I understood that, but I did expect the maid of honor to have opinions and ideas other than just being a yes man. So, with minimal help, I put together a bunch of interactive, customized games, such as What Did the Ranger Say?, where we guess what the groom would say, and then a video of the groom's actual answer would play, and Camp Bride Jeopardy!, where all the questions and answers were themed after the bride, groom, and bridal party. Everyone's bedroom was going to have a little campfire, and I even got an entire indoor s'mores kit, since we're all mostly from Florida, and the New York autumn cold would probably not be what we wanted to do for long periods of time. Everyone had custom sweaters and hats made for them, and camp-themed goodies, snack boxes, and more. The bride wanted over the top, and as her friend, I attempted to deliver despite no help from the maid of honor other than a random approval here and there, since she never answered her phone. She agreed she would send me some money to help pay for the stuff, and that was good enough for me. Once we had a game plan, it was time to get flights to New York. We wanted to fly together since the maid of honor has a fear of flying, so I made sure our plans revolved around when she could fly up and back with her work schedule and her comfort. Again, she said she would be paying me back for the flights. I booked the flights. The next day, the bride paid me back for her flight out. Then 2 weeks went by with no payment from the maid of honor. I kindly reminded her I needed her to pay me back, and she asked for another week extension.
No.
Reluctantly, I said okay. About a week later, I got a text from the maid of honor asking if she could pay me back via Zelle. I said sure, though I'd prefer Apple Pay. She said she already sent it via Zelle.
I don't buy it.
I then checked and saw only one of her 2 flights had been paid back for. She claimed she'd pay me the rest in the next 2 weeks. Again, reluctantly, I agreed. Eventually, the trio group chat for planning went silent since the maid of honor didn't answer much. So it went from the group text to individual texts between the maid of honor and myself, and then between the bride and myself. A week after I got paid for the first flight, the maid of honor asked me to cancel the outgoing flight since she could no longer go out that day, but wanted me to rebook her flight for the next day. And that's when I would say, I'll cancel it, but you're buying the next one.
Yeah.
Rebook her flight for the next day. I thought it was an odd request, so I asked the bride if the maid of honor was all right or if something happened to change where she needed to change her flight, since I figured, given they were best friends, the bride would have already been made aware of this change. She had not been. I worked with the maid of honor to find her another flight out and explained that since she changed her flight, she would have to Uber to the house as the airport is 45 to 60 minutes from the house, and she would be arriving late at night on the day that I would have to be setting up the house and running errands for the bachelorette weekend. Given that we're all adults and that the invitation explained everyone is responsible for their own transportation, I didn't think this was a big deal. The maid of honor lost her mind, saying she didn't feel safe taking an Uber, and essentially it was my responsibility to make sure she got from the airport to the house. I said point blank that I would not be doing that. The bride agreed with me privately that I shouldn't have to do that, and that I should tell the maid of honor she had already been no help in planning and had dropped the ball as maid of honor, considering she had been silent since the entire bridal party chat had been made. Also, you can rent cars at an airport.
Yeah. The easy
That
solutions
solves your
here.
problem right
Easy
there.
solutions.
The only people talking in the bridal party chat were the bride and myself, despite there being 3 other women in addition to the maid of honor in that chat. So I did what the bride told me to do. I told the maid of honor she had dropped the ball and hadn't bothered to help with any of the planning, ideas for games, or anything, and that the bride was well aware that I had done all of the work. The maid of honor responded that she wouldn't be going on the trip and refused to pay me back for her second flight. It was a few $100 and that sucked, but she was not worth the argument.
Dude.
Cancel the flights. Maybe she didn't get flight
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. Always get that flight insurance.
This resulted in bride getting mad at me that I mentioned that anyone with eyes, including the bride, could see that the maid of honor had dropped the ball, since she doesn't even respond to the bride in the bridal party chat at a minimum. I sucked it up and apologized to the bride, but apparently it caused an argument between the maid of honor and the bride, because the maid of honor assumed the bride was talking behind her back, which she was, but the bride wanted to save face, so she denied it, obviously. I have the text messages showing otherwise. Now that the maid of honor has dropped out, I am able to solidify the rest of the party plans with the bride much faster, since she is responsive like a normal person. Everything was set, paid for, and sent up to the house in New York for the party, which we were about a month and a half away from. I had a family trip planned to the house that we take every summer, and was going to make sure all the party supplies were there and do some light setup. Once in New York, everything was going great. I was enjoying my family trip and spending time with my husband and parents. Until one morning, my bank called me, waking me up, telling me my account had been frozen and marked for fraud.
Uh-oh.
Obviously, this was confusing to me since I hadn't done anything fraudulent. They connected me with the proper department only to find out that the maid of honor had flagged her Zelle payment to me as fraud, and now the bank had to lock down my account to investigate. I explained that I had proof she knowingly sent me the money for the flights she owed me money for. I sent them the proof, and they said it should have been enough to clear my account and stop the fraud investigation.
Should have been.
Long story short, a week later, and we're back home. I still didn't have access to any of my money. At this point, I had called the bank 5 different times and made 0 progress. So I threatened to close the account altogether. And they unlocked the account instantly since it was proven I didn't commit fraud.
Good. Jeez, that suck.
That's crazy. Though, because of the whole ordeal, Zelle has locked me out from ever using them again and gave the maid of honor her money back.
Come on.
So now I'm out even more money for this entire party, which has now gone over $2,000.
At that point, I feel like you have to tell the bride and be like, hey, you got to pay me back for
Yeah,
this.
that's a little crazy.
This is ridiculous. Your friend stole my money. I'm not paying for all this.
Now that I'm back home, I try to get the rest of the bridal party hyped for the weekend away. I put together little games for them to play in the chat thread so we can get to know each other, since most of us have no friendship with each other. The only person any of us know is the bride.
It's a strange vibe for your first weekend to be like
Yeah.
the bridal party weekend.
I gave them the itinerary, complete with a spa day, apple picking, and a bunch of bride-themed games. I asked that everyone solidify everything in the next 2 weeks since I would be going out of the country on my honeymoon. So obviously I wouldn't be responsive to their questions about the trip during that time. No one had any questions, so my husband and I went off on our trip. During the honeymoon, I got a text from one of the bridesmaids. Would you guys pick me up from the airport at 12:15 a.m. Thursday night?
Sorry, no.
Your girl doesn't want to miss the Apple Orchard Friday.
Then freaking get an Uber.
Or a rental
Or
car.
a taxi. Or a rental car. I'm not picking you up at midnight.
Given I explained I wouldn't be handling batch party stuff on my honeymoon, I thought the bride would do the responsible thing and step in and explain that the invite says everyone's responsible for their own transportation and that they can Uber, schedule a car service, etc. But no, she didn't. So the bridesmaid responded with, "I'll take no response as a yes, LMAO." That's wild. Since bride didn't answer, I took the time at 3 a.m. local time for me and said exactly the following. "I won't be picking anyone up at the airport. Sorry. I'm on my honeymoon and told y'all I won't be responsive during that time."
Dude, honestly, you should just be like, Venmo request the bride and then drop out of this wedding.
Yeah.
This is too much.
This set off the bridesmaid, and she responded with, "Oh, wow, that's a little unexpected considering you're the one that planned all this and know the area. I'm not comfortable taking an Uber at 12:30 a.m., but I'd be more than happy to chip in for gas as needed. I can change plans and fly in Friday and Uber during the day alone. As far as your honeymoon goes, I see you've been posting often, so I assumed your phone worked to text too."
Shut up. Shut up.
Excuse
I'd be like,
me?
oh, you want to fight?
I assume your phone worked the last 4 months we've been planning this and you've been
Haven't
silent.
said anything. I'm not the maid of honor.
So I responded with, "Everyone's flying in at different times. If everyone coordinated flying together, that would be one thing. But running back and forth to the airport isn't on the schedule. I'm not a chauffeur. Uber and Lyft have it now where women can request women drivers for safety and comfort. I offered my home not to be everyone's lackey for the weekend. I'm sorry. I'm not comfortable driving around on dark roads in the middle of the night anyway. Yeah, my phone works, but I'm enjoying the time with my husband, not working on this. I asked months ago not to have to worry about any of this on my honeymoon. I was also supposed to just be helping plan, not doing the whole thing alone and running around to get everyone. That was never asked of me from the start. Given all the BS I've dealt with for this trip, I didn't think this was all that bad of a response. However, all of a sudden, everyone in the chat is going off on me, telling me I need to be more respectful. Maid of honor decides to tell me I needed to work on my entitlement.
And then I respond to her and say, hey, you owe me freaking whatever amount she owes.
And a Zelle.
And a
my
Zelle.
Zelle's locked.
Give me back my Zelle. You freaking said that it was a fraud charge?
Yeah, you want to talk about that
You
one?
want to talk about when you said it was a fraud charge?
I say, okay, whatever you say. I won't go back and forth with you out of respect for the bride. They keep going after me, and I say that none of them know the full extent, to which I'm told they do know the whole story, which tells me that maid of honor and bride have told everyone else maid of honor's side of the story and not anything that bride actually told me privately, because that would make bride look bad. I don't know how that would make the bride look bad.
Well,
but
because I think she was talking about maid of honor behind her back or something.
given what maid of honor did,
Yeah,
I feel
I'm
like
get rid of maid of honor. She sucks.
I
would drop out this wedding.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I was told that I took over as maid of honor, which I didn't, nor did I want to. I simply did what the bride asked of me every step of the way and got her permission every step of the way. In response to the argument, bride then says, I appreciate everyone and all they're doing of traveling for me, and Liv offering her house to us, and all the stuff that she's done to make it a fun weekend for everyone, but I don't want to do any of this. I'm not going. I'm not going to be uncomfortable around everyone and feel awkward with all of this. This is supposed to be an exciting time for me and be made all about me, and it's not. You know who shouldn't be worrying about all this? OP, because she's on her honeymoon and she should get to enjoy her honeymoon, which
No,
should be
I'm
all about
really
her right now.
Canceling everything, Venmo requesting everyone, saying, I don't care if you're calling it off. Pay me back.
This is insane.
Pay me back.
I should be the one being selfish in this since it's my time right now. This is me being selfish. I don't want the trip. I have nothing but respect for you all and appreciate you all individually, and we can just keep it that way. No one needs to be friends and no one needs to do this trip together. It just won't go well. I'm sorry to you all, but I'm not going.
Yeah.
I go and text the bride asking if I was being rude. Bride agrees that nothing I said was really out of pocket, but bride also didn't do crap to defend me or say that I was doing what she asked of me. I tried to swallow my pride and just make the best of the situation since the money is spent and I can't get it back anyway. My husband and I offer to take bride and groom up anyway and make it a couple's trip. They agree and seem excited for it. Honestly, was kind of hoping for that.
Yeah.
By the way, I hope that you are excited for full episodes with stories just like this. So you can go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime. There's a whole bunch of stories there for you.
heap and play the stories.
But yeah, I feel like that's honestly best case scenario.
Yeah. Like, just go on the trip anyway. 'cause
But
you
make it
can't
into
get
the
yeah.
couples retreat.
And maybe you could get some more friends in on it.
yeah, I feel like there's got to be at
and
least a
block all of
couple
these people.
bridesmaids that maybe weren't chiming in that maybe you
Yeah.
could text separately and be like,
Yeah.
hey,
Like,
we're still doing it on
we're
the
still
side.
doing it. Come
Secret.
on. I know we don't know you.
Secret bachelorette. Secret bachelorette. This past weekend, bride, groom, and maid of honor went on a little weekend trip, which I know the bride was hyped for. So I was happy for her and understood she was busy, so didn't expect to hear from her about the trip we had planned. But yesterday morning, she canceled that. At this point, I see we're not friends. Otherwise, she would have stood up for me, even minimally, instead of letting me get eaten by the wolves. I haven't responded yet since I wanted to speak with my husband on the matter first, and haven't had time to do so since he's been sick and sleeping. So, am I the a-hole if I were to ask bride and groom to pay us back for the party they asked us to plan, then canceled, despite knowing I can't be refunded for anything? That's the end of
No.
that story. No,
I
you're
think
not.
you should ask.
I think you
And
should
I think
demand
they're the
that.
a-hole if they don't give you that money.
Yeah, that's insane.
That would be crazy. $2,000?
At least for the flights.
Yeah.
I mean,
he said, I think earlier, like something about $2,000.
it was a lot. And this is a lesson that maybe next time we get some flight insurance, we get some refundable things.
Yeah. Anytime you're paying for like people, other people, I
Yeah.
feel like flight insurance is the way
For
to go.
sure. Unless it's like you've done this before and they're like
Yeah.
super duper trustworthy, but it's always
But
just
even
easy
then-
to do.
Even then, like even if someone's
Sickness,
trustworthy,
yeah,
there's
things
like
can
so
go
many
wrong.
different reasons, and it's just I think better.
My best friend confessed that he's in love with me after we accidentally made out.
I don't think any accidents have been happening.
James and I have been friends since second grade. We've shared practically everything with each other, been there for each other when no one else was. We tell each other I love you pretty often. He's my family.
Okay.
By the way, this comes from Throwaway Sasha, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give you good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We just know what we would do in the situation, so let us know what you would do in the comments. So, OP says, I don't drink much ever, and James had begged me to come with him to his friend's apartment for drinks and games. I decided to let loose. Bad move on my part, and I drank too much. He had a bit to drink as well, but not nearly as much. He saw I was warm and loopy, so he took me out for some fresh air. Honestly, this bit is pretty fuzzy. I just remember laughing and going to kiss his cheek like I would my mother, but it didn't end that way. I missed and kind of hit the corner of his mouth, and he took that as an invitation to really kiss me. And we kind of made out. Then he told me that he loved me, and I told him I loved him too, because that's what we always say. But he responded with something like, no, like, I'm in love with you. I puked in a bush, and he took me home. I'm still quite embarrassed about it. It has been a couple days, and neither of us have brought it up. I'm kind of confused about my feelings. I haven't been in love before, but I do love him, and I've always considered him my person. Am I being obtuse? How can I bring the topic up with him? Because I do want to discuss it once I figure myself out. Comment number 1 says, close your eyes and imagine him with another woman. And think about how you would feel if he smiled at another woman just like he does with you, in the way he looks at you. Many times they don't realize the feelings until it's too late. Many times because you take it for granted or because you see such a predictable person. And many people let that person go because another person came along and they see the novelty, they see something new, but in the end, you realize that the other person didn't love you. So you regret it, and many times it's too late. And Opie responds, well, we have grown up together and have seen each other through different phases of life. We have each dated other people. Whenever he has had a girlfriend, I have never felt jealous or unhappy. He seemed happy, which made me happy, and I always got along with his girlfriend. That being said, we have always had our special inside jokes and secret handshakes. I never felt pushed aside, so maybe that's why I was so okay. And Opie comments on concerns towards their families. I'm not worried about my love life. I'm just worried about forever altering our relationship. It affects people that we love too. Our families are friends. Our mothers get brunch together every other week. Maybe I'm just putting too much pressure on this, but it really feels like a big deal. Seriously, thank you for this advice though. I do see now that something will inevitably change. Kind of stupid to try and hold off the inevitable. And yeah, I think that things have already changed from him
Oh, yeah.
saying that. Like, I think it's whatever you do now, it's not really gonna change it that much more.
No. Yeah,
Unless you,
your
like-
friendship has changed.
Yeah, unless you go up to him and you're like, "Hey, I'm sober," and then you do throw up on him, then it's like,
yeah.
okay, yeah, that would probably change some things for sure.
That
For
would
sure.
probably shake things up a little bit.
I'd say so. And OP comments about the brewing romance in their relationship. I'm slowly realizing that I'm at the point of no return. This perspective is genuinely helpful. Makes me feel a little less dread. I just want to do the right thing. He isn't the kind of guy to blow up at me if it doesn't go well. I know we care about each other enough to want to work it out. He's a thoughtful man. I think I had a slight meltdown over it, but I've evened out a little bit. Haha. OP also comments on the friends' previous relationships. Since 2nd grade, he has had 2 girlfriends, and I have had 1 boyfriend. Since 2nd grade. 2nd
Jeez.
grade boyfriend. Ooh.
2nd grade boyfriend. Those are fake boyfriends.
Those are what?
Those are fake boyfriends.
I thought you
They
said,
don't-
when you
they're
said
not
2nd
real.
grade boyfriends, I thought you said 2nd boyfriend. and then you,
Probably.
yeah, yeah. But we do have an update. Do we have any final thoughts before we move on? We're about
Seems
halfway
like
through.
OP's just kind of figuring it out, and I think that's
Yeah.
okay.
I think it was really funny that before the comments, OP was like, I mean, I've never been in love, but like I also have imagined marrying him. pretty much." So like I always thought I was gonna marry him, but like that doesn't mean
That doesn't mean
I love him.
anything.
She didn't say marry him, but she said
Girl.
right person, but still.
You get me.
Girl.
You get me.
You're the same. Update. So we talked and I was honest. I have been way overthinking this and really just confusing myself more and more. I came to terms with the fact that I was truly very into the kiss and enjoyed the thought of kissing him even when I was sober. So I told him that. And then he throws up. But I also
He's like, oh my god.
But I also told him how nervous I have been about our relationship because I have thought of him as someone who will be in my life forever since 6th grade. And I have never been lucky in love. The thought of us parting ways because our relationship goes south makes me feel legitimately ill, and I told him that too. I started off with the talking because he knew it was coming, and I could tell that he was incredibly nervous. But he seemed to loosen up as I continued. He actually smiled a little. After I finished my speech, he said, "Can I say something cheesy but true?" And I naturally responded with, "Yes." He told me that he has loved me since middle school and that he never thought it would get this far. Oh, this is so cute.
Someone make a movie. Someone call a director.
Write it down, write it down.
Write it down, write it down.
I am still utterly shocked by this. I seriously have never known. I was getting all flustered and shy because of a man that I've literally shared everything with, which is bonkers. When I am with him, I am the most unapologetic version of myself, but he had me blushing. That pretty much solidified it for me. The only thing left to discuss was how to move forward, and he took the initiative and asked what it was that I wanted to do about this. I had been thinking about this for a day or so since unraveling how I felt about him. I suggested that we go on a real date, not just to hang out, if he would be okay with that. I understand that at this point he is much deeper to this than I am, so I don't want to do anything to hurt him, but committing super hard would be a lie on my end, and this feels necessary to explore.
I think it's just being very upfront about where you are and
Totally.
saying, hey, I've never thought about this.
Yeah.
And this is completely new to me.
Yeah, and I think that is a good point. I didn't even think
Yeah.
about that, about she's still she's pretty sure about her feelings, but it's still new, so they probably just need to settle a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about a full on boyfriend girlfriend would just be committing too fast.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It
No,
totally is.
absolutely. Because you're like, is this just something a person I like to kiss and I don't actually have
Right.
long-term romantic feelings for?
Right.
Because there is a difference.
Totally.
Yeah.
Honestly, it is a possibility that he could find out that I was better in his head or something. Anyway, he agreed and we are giving it a shot. I am very happy, and he seems to be as well. He was absolutely grinning once I offered up the date idea. He was tickled that I asked him out. It was very cute. And we do have a second update.
Yay.
This is adorable.
This is adorable.
I feel now going to certain parts of Reddit might be a great way to get ideas for a rom-com. There's a lot
Yeah.
of good ideas on here.
So true.
Well, a lot, in the grand scheme of things, out of the stories we read, very small
yeah,
percentage.
yeah,
but
like maybe 5.
maybe
5 of the stories.
Yeah, 5 of the stories.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
even 5%.
Nope,
just 5
just
of
5 of
the
the
stories.
stories.
But we do have a second update. James and I are exclusively dating and have been since that first date, which went well. I thought that I would be the nervous one and he would be chill since I had been overthinking about how our dynamic will change since day one. And he kept saying that he was so excited for the date. But when he picked me up and brought me flowers like the gentleman he is, My brain went a quiet calm and everything just felt like it clicked into place for me. He, on the other hand, was sweating bullets, incredibly nervous. He was chivalrous and cheesy, opening the car door for me and making a show of it. It was really adorable. Also, this felt entirely new. I wondered if our date would feel like a regular hangout, but it didn't. It felt special, and my cheeks were warm and tired from smiling the entire night. The car ride was kind of awkward at first, just because he was so stiff, but he explained that this is something that he had been dreaming of for years now, and was really scared to mess up. He loosened up after I reassured him that the biggest possible mess up wouldn't deter me. We had a real big heart-to-heart on the drive to the restaurant and came to the conclusion that no matter how this goes, we will be in each other's lives no matter what capacity. It made us both relax a bit more. I held his hand in the parking lot because we already know each other like no one else. We fell into our conversational habits, but it still felt like I was unlocking parts of him that weren't available to me before and that he was doing the same to me. That's nice. That's special. Because it's like dating someone is like you are just friends. Like you're friends, but it's more special.
You get some of the deep lore, I feel like.
Yeah, so it's like you should still feel like you're just talking to a friend, but that is nice that there's still that extra element there. How sweet. I really thought I would be freaked out, but it is so natural. And we have such a deep trust that has been established over the years that I don't even feel slightly stressed. And I wouldn't feel stressed if you guys would listen to full episodes of stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. And there is a little bit more to the story, but this is so nice.
I think
I love it.
Some of the best relationships, I think, come from like this friendship, like this shared friendship that you have.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Because a lot of relationships develop friendship, but like when you start off as friends and then you get to know each other as like another layer.
Yeah.
It's
a
also really
beautiful
lovely.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. But there is a little bit more to the story. Sometimes it is a little weird, but nice. Over the years, we have cuddled a few times, like a head on the shoulder with minimal contact. So being a little more intimate feels foreign, and sometimes I do feel the need to rewire my brain because I have to remind myself that it is appropriate to do with it now. But once I remind myself, it is incredibly nice. It has been over a month since our date, and we are still taking it slow. Don't expect an engagement announcement anytime soon. We are comfortable with this pace. That is the end of that story.
My best friends left me in another country and blame me for ruining the trip.
That's on you, dude. For real skis.
I went on a Jet 2 holiday in 2024 with 7 other girls. All of us 18 years old. 3 of them were my best friends. We'll call them Casey, Cora, and Callie. 4 of them were friends of one of my best friends. We'll call them Sophie, Ava, Delilah, and Paige. By the way, this comes from user InevitableFriend2434. If you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Keon.
I'm Dakota.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers, unfortunately. We only know what we do, so let us know what you do in the comments. Pretty please. 2 days of the holiday went by with no issues. We enjoyed the daytime and then went out at night. Then we went out at night to clubs. Our hotel was only a 10-minute taxi ride from a party town with tons of clubs and bars. On the 3rd night of Christmas, my true love gave to me. We decided to get tickets to an event and go to this party town, to one of the biggest clubs in Europe. Me, Casey, Callie, and the rest of the girls were going. Cora stayed at the hotel. We had our pre-drinks like normal, but Casey and her friends had bought some shots of absinthe to try for fun. So we all passed around a shot and laughed at each other's reactions. It was fun. Then it came to get the taxi. Probably no longer fun. And I was very wasted. All my friends could tell I was very wasted, and they were telling me as much. They all know I'm quite a lightweight and that I pass out sometimes if I get too wasted, and it can last hours. Since I knew this about myself, I always tried my best to drink slowly and ease myself into it. But I think the absinthe was just a bit too strong. We get out of the taxi at the huge club and we go inside. Me, Casey, and Sophie go to the bar together and we get drinks. Casey and Sophie, knowing I'm very wasted, walk away while I'm still waiting on my drink to be made. And obviously, I then have no idea where they are or where anyone else is. At this point, I also realize I left my vape in the taxi and now don't have one. By this time, I get my drink. The drunkenness has fully smacked me, and I'm gone. I don't remember anything properly after this point, since I now have no idea where any of my friends are and don't have the cognitive ability to care. I asked someone in the club where I could get a vape. So again, I asked where I could get a vape, and he led me to the shop across the road. So I'm at the shop across the road. I FaceTime my boyfriend, who is back home because I'm alone in the biggest party town I know, other than Ibiza. And I'm chatting to him while I get my vape. I have a video that I sent to him of me with this random guy, and I'm asking him if he's going to the club across the road. Except in the video, I call the club by the name of one of 2 clubs in the town of our hotel. I forgot we had left that town. I forgot where I was completely, even though I was looking at this place with the name in big, bold letters. My boyfriend was obviously very concerned, and he tried to get in contact with my friends who were all still in the club. My friends all had my live location on Life 360, so he was sure they'd come get me. Again, I was directly across the street right away, and it would be all good, and we'd be reunited for the night. Wrong. They didn't want to leave their spot on the dance floor. They were boogieing too much. They told him to tell me, I'm completely schmacked out of my brain, no idea where I was, to go find them right in the middle of the dance floor of the 3rd biggest club in Europe. Obviously, I wasn't able to do this. I did go back into the club for a bit. I remember speaking to someone in Spanish for a while, and then I don't remember how or why, but I was back outside and walking around because obviously I did not find my friends. Basically, to sum up this night, I was walking around Magaluf alone, just wasted, with no idea where I was or where my friends were, in a tiny top and small skirt, for 5 hours. I've been in this situation where I kind of had this, but luckily my friends were there to check out. At least I had like this is why you have a system of, if you go out in a country and you have no reception or you don't know the location, it's called you have a buddy. It's the buddy system.
It's the buddy system.
You at least have one person who's like, I got your back, you got my back.
We all have knowledge of the buddy system.
Come on. And the fact that this wasn't established, maybe because, again, you guys are young, but this is a huge thing to do in countries, especially, big thing here, when you're a woman. You know how scary that is? That, like, if one of my female friends was doing this, like, goes off by herself, I'm going with you. I don't care. This is Europe. Taken, the movie, real thing. It happens a lot. Very scary. Like, your friends suck. I'm sorry. And the fact that this is not like a blatant thing, like, I was just walking around at night in like a country all by myself, hee hee hoo hoo. Girl.
Yeah, your friends are terrible. Your friends have failed you.
Back to the story. My friends didn't leave their club once to try and find me, regardless of my boyfriend calling and texting them persistently because he was worried about my safety. Callie even hung up on him saying, I need to put my phone back in my bag so I don't lose it. Good luck! He was 4.5 hours away by plane. They were 5 minutes away by foot and had my location, and she told him, good luck. Anyway, they eventually found me walking around sobbing at around 6 a.m. 5 hours later, after Casey and Sophie left me at the bar, and instantly all started screaming at me, telling me I ruined their night. Obviously, I did not respond well to this because I was still crunked out of my mind and had been left to wander alone for, again, 5 hours, so I shouted back and argued. Then they booked themselves a taxi back to our hotel, leaving me with Delilah, who was the only person who cared enough to actually wait with me for a second taxi. We got these taxis to the beach where they wanted to go swimming. I went swimming with them while still crunked out wasted. I walked home way behind them in my bare feet and went to bed. Woke up the next day with zero memory and walked out of my room to see Casey and Callie on the sofa. I said hi to them, as usual, but they didn't even lift their heads from their phones to look at me. Never mind even respond. I started freaking out hard and went back into my room. We all know the anxiety of waking up after a bad night out, but waking up in a foreign country after being crunked out of my mind for 6 hours and your best friends won't even look at you? That's a new feeling that I never want to experience ever again. Anyway, I went back into my room, got ready, and by the time I was back out, all my friends were gone, and no one would answer me in the group chat. So, I went down to the beach and cried for hours by myself, naturally. I went back to my room after a long boyfriend pep talk and tried to talk to Casey, asking her if I could apologize, giving my best heartfelt apology, and she responded with, okay, and then left the room. At that point, I freaked out even more and had to leave the hotel. I walked around for an hour or so having a panic attack, hyperventilating, and sobbing, and I didn't go back to my room until they were all going out for the night. This continued for the next 4 days of the holiday.
Girl, go home.
Just go
These are
home.
not your friends.
The fact that you're with these 6 other girls and you're just panic attack and just having a terrible time.
Ugh.
This is no longer a holiday. This is a nightmare.
All because you did something that like everyone has basically done before.
Yeah, everyone
Which is
gets a
you're
little.
young and you go too hard and then you end up being kind of a nuisance. But that's what friends are for. Friends are there to be like, all right, little baby bird nuisance girl, we're gonna wrangle you tonight.
And maybe the night ends for a couple people. If they take you back home, they can go back out.
They valued a spot on some dance floor more than
Than
your
a-
actual
than a-
safety. That's
than an
insane.
actual human being. They value. Guess what? 18-year-olds.
Just heartless, hollow.
Despite many attempts, no one wanted to give me the time of day to apologize. I spent 4 of the 7 days of our holiday completely alone and isolated. I wasn't included in a single plan made. I wasn't invited out, and Casey and Callie started sleeping in the other hotel room with Casey's friends. I was completely alone and cried pretty much all day, every day. Casey and I had shared a suitcase, so when we got home, she said she would take it first and drop my stuff off to me the next day. I was fine with this because I just wanted to get out of there and not wait for the baggage claim BS. I was heartbroken. How could my friends treat me like this? The next day I texted Casey, wondering when I could get my stuff, as it was a hot day at home and I needed summer clothes for my suitcase. She said she wasn't home that day. The day after, I texted her again, and she made up some big excuse. I told her that I needed my stuff, and I couldn't really keep going without it. All my makeup and hair products and summer clothing in the middle of summer. And she was outraged. She started arguing with me about that third night, and I tried again to apologize, and then tried to get her to see that how they treated me afterwards was a bit excessive and uncalled for. This was apparently her final straw, and she refused to text me anymore, and instead texted my boyfriend to say she couldn't deal with me anymore. She said he could come pick my stuff up, but that I wasn't allowed to come to her door. My boyfriend hated them all more than me at this point. That night, I got a message from Paige, who I saw on Snap Maps was now at Casey's house, after she said I couldn't get my stuff that night, along with everyone else but Callie and Cora. The text was 3 screenshots worth of list of things I did wrong on the holiday, and a text underneath. Before you try to say any of it was our fault, this is what we had to put up with. It was full of either actual lies or just really hurtful things that I didn't think were anything wrong. But you know what isn't wrong? You listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to your favorite podcast apps such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and searching up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left.
These are, I think they're in Europe. J.R.R. Tolkien wrote about orcs. I think these are the inspiration behind the orcs. All these girls slithered out of a pool of ooze because what are you talking about? She didn't even hang out with you for 4 days. Things you had to deal with the whole trip. You abandoned your friend when she needed help. And you could have just arranged for one person to take her back to the hotel to go to sleep and then come back out.
It's okay.
It's not hard.
You know what, OP, you lose these people, they're going to experience this once in their life.
Yeah.
It does happen. It does happen. It's a learning thing. Hopefully, I don't want anyone to experience this, but it does happen in your young
It does.
years.
Its silver lining is that you're very young, and you know what? Most of these people who are your friends, you don't need to worry about. You will make new friends. You will meet new people.
Yeah.
And people who actually give a crap about you.
But you know what isn't the worst experience of your life? Finishing up the story. So, after spending 4 days of my holiday completely isolated, having panic attacks every day, and I got home and had my belongings held hostage and got sent a list of things I did wrong as a consequence of calling out their behavior, I was absolutely devastated. And I can honestly say this is one of the most traumatizing experiences I've been through. This was the summer before starting uni as well, and it really affected my ability to make friends and trust new people. These girls had been my best friends for 7 years, and they turned on me like that for making one mistake, one night out of our 7-day holiday. Anyway, if you stayed this long, am I the a-hole? What are you asking? You're not the a-hole for anything, girly pop.
My sister-in-law threw a tantrum at my daughter's birthday. Now we're considering no contact.
Only the children are allowed to throw tantrums.
For context, I, 42 female, have been married to my husband, 48 male, for about 20 years. We have one child, 10 female, who recently celebrated a birthday. My husband has 4 siblings. Up until this year, there were no other grandchildren in his family, and we have lived in the same town with his parents for the entirety of our marriage. By the way, this comes from Soft Literature 7540, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I am Savannah.
I'm Dakota.
And we are here to give some good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We'd only tell you what we would do in this situation, but we would love to know what you would do in the comments. As OP says, my mother-in-law has a birthday the same week as her child. This year was a milestone birthday for her, as she was turning 80, while my daughter turned 10. My father-in-law is sadly no longer living, so she lives alone in the family home. We are in town, and she gets plenty of time with our daughter. There is a ton of backstory with my sister-in-law, 43 female, so I will try to be factual and brief. In the past year, she moved back to her home state after years of living out of state. She now lives 2 hours away from us. This coincided with her adopting a child, 11 female, buying her first house without seeing it first, and getting engaged to her partner of a little over 18 months, 30 male. They also did not have jobs lined up before the move. The adoption was fast, and they only met their daughter 6 months before adopting her from foster care. Needless to say, she has a lot of changes in her life lately, but these were all decisions she made with her partner. We offered no unsolicited advice. In other words, I stayed out of her business and kept my mouth shut unless it was positive. I did have many thoughts and worries for her and her new family. My husband, the oldest son, is often the only one to question her or call her out on anything. This has come to blows in the past. But we have tried our best to be supportive without getting sucked into drama. The best way to describe her and our family's relationship prior to these changes is that she is like a hurricane. We brace ourselves for her visits. She is disruptive, causes drama and chaos, and then leaves. Things go back to normal, hopefully with minimal damage. She absolutely tries to be the center of attention and dictates every family event she is involved in. If she knows she will not be the center of attention, she either elicits drama or feigns an excuse not to attend. For example, she skipped our wedding to travel and meet a guy she met in Alaska. What? Because she wasn't the center of attention at your wedding. She said, you know what? I'm going to go meet this guy in Alaska.
I gotta go to Alaska. I gotta see about a boy.
Sorry. I know you're getting married and everything, and I RSVP'd.
But this Alaskan is really hot.
Since her move, my husband and I have tried hard to set boundaries with her. She has spent almost every other weekend at her mom's since moving back, which is fine because there is a new grandchild she adopted, and she wants to spend time with her mom. The problem comes with her expectation that her family also spends time with her during these visits. Due to past drama and situations, we decided it was healthier to maintain low contact. If it were up to my husband, he would want no contact. He compromised to keep peace for his mom and agreed to be polite on major holidays and family events. This has been communicated to her, yet she pushes every single time she visits. She tries to act like my daughter and I should come over despite his wishes. He specifically says, I don't want you going over there. She has gone so far as to tell me she wouldn't let someone be that controlling, implying my husband is harmful and I should leave him. Oh, that's not good. She has also said she moved here for family and so my daughter could have a cousin to play with, even claiming she adopted her daughter for the same reason. So she adopted her child just so
your kid could have a friend. The best reason to adopt. Play dates.
These comments were disturbing, and she has repeated them many times. When I called her out, she became defensive and acted like we were rejecting her for no reason. She is also the type to repeat herself until you are frustrated or give the answer she wants. It is exhausting. She sends long text messages, mostly about her expectations for visits and centering herself as the victim, never asking if we are busy. She gets upset when we do not visit, and if I do participate, it is never just a short visit. She always has some crisis or guilt trip that prolongs our commitment. For these reasons, I stopped responding to her texts and keep responses very brief. My husband stepped in and told her to communicate plans strictly through him. He ends up being the bad guy in these situations, and he is fine with it. I feel bad for my new niece as she is in the middle of this. Her mom makes it difficult to establish a relationship, but we do what we can. Due to my mother-in-law's 80th birthday, other family members were coming into town that week. We decided to keep my daughter's birthday party very low-key and small, with just cake and a gift exchange the day before a larger party for Grandma. My husband's older sister, 50 female, came into town for the event. She has always spoiled my daughter and now also spoils her other niece, which is great. Older sister-in-law wanted to take my daughter to get her nails done on her birthday. Cute. The next day was Grandma's 80th birthday party at a restaurant. Older sister clarified that while younger sister and niece could join, she could only pay for my daughter, which was fine. That's weird, though. To be like, oh, you guys can come, but I really can only pay for this niece.
I'm only spoiling one child.
Yeah, like why? I think that's weird.
Well, maybe she's just not got the funds, you know?
I mean, then
Maybe she's only got one, spoiling budget.
but I feel like then you could ask her, be like, oh yeah, have your mom give you like $20 or something to cover your dinner or lunch or whatever they're going. And
She just hates adopted kids.
apparently, this caused drama about fairness, and younger sister and her daughter decided not to come. I only found out when I picked up older sister. We went for nails, then to Grandma's for cake and gifts. This was not something I insisted on. Younger sister planned it because she worried about when her niece would open gifts. When husband stayed away, as he could not handle more time with his younger sister than at his mom's party. We had a separate celebration with our daughter. At Grandma's, the vibes were immediately off. Younger sister made small offhand comments about being kept from her niece. She decorated unnecessarily, but nicely. I thanked her and stayed calm. The cousins played happily. Then she exploded verbally, dropping F-bombs and yelling about being rejected by the whole family. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Not
Oh
a-
no.
not a-
Oh no.
not a-
Red alert. Red alert.
She complained about my separate relationships with her sister and mom and repeated that I had blocked her on everything, which is not true. I am not a huge social media user, and I typically share only surface-level stuff. Her outburst continued. Everyone else hid, and I maintained composure. I can imagine everyone like, get on the couch, go, go, go.
Yeah, everyone's in duck and cover positions.
Just hiding. She escalated as my calm response is, I will talk when you have calmed down, or I will not be sworn at. Infuriated her. The kids were present. Initially, I considered leaving with my daughter, but worried it would spoil the next day's party for Grandma. I held my ground. Finally, her partner removed her from the party. I got to explain that her behavior solidified why we maintain low contact. It is not about her daughter, but about her own actions. I told her this was a child's birthday, not about her. Even if she is upset, she cannot attack people, especially in front of kids. I stated we would only attend her mom's party if she could hold it together. I took accountability for communication, but added that she may not always like what I have to say. My real thoughts are that she is struggling and lashed out. My life is not perfect, but she has always shown an undertone of jealousy regarding me. I am married, have a career, a child, a house, etc. These are things she has wanted but had not had until recently. By the way, we have full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. And you'll see our bright smiling faces like this.
Well, no, you won't because you'll be listening, but we'll be smiling.
Yeah, you'll hear the smile in
You
my
will-
tone.
You will hear the smile.
There is a little bit left. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I would like immediately be like, we really can't be hanging out if you cannot control yourself. This has nothing to do with anyone except you and your behavior. They're trying to be like, you just don't accept my daughter and blah, 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 and everyone's against me. It's like, yeah, because look at you pulling this stunt.
Yeah.
Look at you making it all about you.
Sometimes people don't realize that. Especially those types of people who are very self-absorbed and stuff. They're like, "Nah, nah, 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 nah. Me. And then it's like, listen to yourself. If we could just record, pause, rewind, and just listen to it. It's all me.
You are having a full-blown hissy fit at a 10-year-old's birthday.
Yeah. Saying F-bombs and all that stuff. It's like, oh, that's nice. Thank you. In front of your family. That's crazy.
Get out of here.
I think she believed that having all the pieces would suddenly earn her acceptance. Reality is that these things are hard and require effort even after you obtain them. I could offer support and advice if she were open, but she is focused on winning the life competition. I did not share these thoughts with her. Grandma's party was great. Everyone acted like nothing happened except older sister. It felt surreal. I received no apology from my sister-in-law. My husband wants to go no contact after this.
Yeah,
there's some
I support
comments.
that. And you
Yeah.
can let the kids hang out at your place, but she's not invited.
Yeah. I mean, if she's going to act like this like every single time, it's just like it just gets to a point where it's just so tiring. And so you just get exhausted and you're just frustrated. It's like, all right, it is not worth it. Save yourself. But there are some comments. Comment 1 says, no contact is light work. Yelling at you in front of your kid and acting entitled to said kid, she's lucky to be breathing. Whoa!
Oh, taking it to the limit.
She's lucky to be breathing. On a more serious note, I would be issuing a public statement to the family that if she is at an event/holiday, etc., then you and your family will not be. That you don't and won't abide by her childish and harmful behavior any longer. This adult child ruined your kid's birthday and she will remember it. Now is when you take action to keep your kid well away from her childish, loud, and frankly manipulative sister-in-law. Apologies to sister-in-law's kid, it's not their fault, but you can't put your kid through this again. And you shouldn't put yourself through it either. OP responds, I know no contact is the right answer. With the holidays coming up, it excludes us from family gatherings, and that isn't fair and is sad. My daughter's response to the whole thing in the moment was to make a protest sign and draw peace signs on her face with markers and try to appeal to her auntie to stop yelling.
No.
That's
No,
sad.
it's so adorable. And it also makes it so clear how just out in the open and obvious this
Yeah.
was.
Like this definitely, like, I'm sure would be like an
my
experience that she
God.
remembers the rest of her life. Now, a couple of weeks later, my daughter told me she is still mad at her auntie for how she treated me and doesn't feel safe around her unless we are there with her.
Oof.
She also feels bad for her cousin. My 10-year-old is literally more mature in some ways than sister-in-law. Mother-in-law is acting like we should all have sympathy for sister-in-law because she is having such a hard time with all aspects of her life. Sister-in-law made lots of decisions and got herself into an exceedingly difficult situation. Her insisting that she moved here to be close to family, etc., was not something we asked her to do. Her arguments are just unhinged, acting like we somehow made her move here, buying a house she couldn't afford, and adopt a kid. It's wild. She even had the audacity the night of Grandma's party to take me aside and say my daughter was acting weird and could it have to do with having too much sugar or red dye. What?
She's like, are you drowning your kid in red 40 because they're acting goofy? It's like, that's a 10-year-old. Like, what do you mean?
I wanted to be like, how much red dye did sister-in-law have? Because you are sure acting weird too. Older sister just takes the stance she lives far enough away not to have to deal with it all very often. Reply says, I know it's hard and I genuinely express my deepest sympathies because going non-contact with someone that everyone sympathizes with is the hardest thing in the world. The only other option is to sit down with sister-in-law and your partner where you all say this behavior is unacceptable. You're on your last chance because one more scene and you'll never see us or your niece again. But I found these to only delay the inevitable. That's it.
Yeah, it really, I mean, if your own daughter's at the point where she's like, I'm literally afraid of her, it's like, it's no contact city, no contact central. And, yeah, if you want the kids to play, they can play, but it's gotta be at your place.
I asked my friend's girlfriend to stop joining our guys' night. Now I'm the villain.
And now we're breaking up the band.
The friend Gareth and his partner Toddy aren't talking to the group anymore. Our group of friends regularly plays games on the weekends because we don't live near each other. It's an easy way to get some time together without driving hours to meet up. We all met in high school and have known each other for about 8 years. By the way, this comes from user carelesschapter475, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Keon,
And I'm Angie.
and we'll try to give our best advice, but some of us haven't experienced most of these situations ourselves. So if you have, let us know your take in the comments. OP says, we play a wide spread of games. Some like Lethal Company or Among Us. include our partners to have more people involved. We also play FPS, first-person pew-pews, games that our partners don't have any interest in. And those have been our informal guys' nights up until about 3 months ago. About 2 months ago, we started playing Counter-Strike almost exclusively. This is when Garrett's partner, Toddy, started joining the Discord call and just listening to us play. It wasn't a big deal at first, but it got to the point where Toddy was always in the call whenever Gareth was. Our guys' nights disappeared unless Gareth couldn't play. The vibe of the group was noticeably different when she was in the call versus when she wasn't. Even Gareth changed the types of jokes and the way he talked when Toddy was there. This went on for another month before we decided we should ask if Toddy could not hang out in the call while we played FPS games, so we could have our guys' nights back. Me and 3 other guys in the group spent weeks deciding whether to bring this up because we had a feeling they wouldn't react well. Originally, we were going to ask on Discord when just Gareth was online, so we could just get his thoughts and explain why we wanted this without risking offending Toddy. However, we realized we couldn't get that opportunity because we hardly ever have everyone online at the same time. And Toddy was always in the call when Gareth was. So it fell to me to ask since I had known Gareth the longest. I decided to send a text about it. I spent at least an hour and a half crafting the message so it didn't come across as mean or make it seem like we didn't like Toddy. I sent the message to everyone in the group first and got approval that it was good. The message said the group would appreciate it if Toddy wouldn't hang out in the calls every time we play games that the girls have no interest in playing. The rest of the group feels like they have to filter themselves when she sits in the calls, and we want to have time to let loose and not worry about what we say. We make guy jokes and political jokes a lot, and Toddy has shown that she doesn't like the jokes several times, even though she claims she doesn't care. I finished by saying when we play games like Lethal Company or Among Us, that's different because she and the other girlfriends are playing with us. The issue is, it feels weird when one person sits on the call and just listens but isn't involved. I only sent the text to Gareth. I didn't tell him not to show Toddy. I gave him the option of making the decision for himself, talking to her, or showing her the text. My guess is that he let her read them, and she did not take it well. This went over poorly with Gareth and Tati. They took it as we didn't want to be friends or play games with Tati at all, and that it was hurtful to both of them. I responded by saying we didn't mean it like that, and we just wanted to be honest and about how we felt. If we had just asked her not to sit on the call without a reason, I'm sure they would have asked anyway. I said when someone's on the call, just listening, not talking or playing, it changes the vibe, even if it wasn't intended. It would be the same if someone else was sitting in the call. It's not personal to Tati. I finished by saying it isn't personal, and we weren't trying to punt her out or anything. We just want some time with Gareth and the rest of the boys. This is where it starts to get out of hand. Okay.
Oh boy.
We'll take a little pause there. Angie, how do we feel?
I mean, I think it's a very reasonable request, honestly, because that can change things when it's just like, oh, like, you're a cool person, but like sometimes we used to be able to hang out without you.
Yeah.
And it is a really hard thing to ask because it's going to come off personal, but it's kind of, I feel like boys' night is a great way to ask that, but that's still not like coming
this
across.
Is, especially when she's just there to listen, is kind of weird.
Yeah, right? She's not even playing the game.
She's not playing the game. She's not watching them play. I think she's just there to listen and like monitor them, which is very obtuse. Like, don't you have other free time or like other time? Like,
yeah, like, are you just always with Gareth? Which is, I mean, they said that apparently she was.
Apparently she is, and she tunes in every time they play. If it's like once in a blue moon and like makes jokes with you guys and like hangs out, I feel like that's okay. But if it's every single time that you guys try to like coordinate like a guy's game night,
right,
I also would be like, what's going on? Because I play these games too, and like personally, like we do call outs, and like if somebody's there, like I don't know, it's like somebody's like breathing down your neck or like watching over you, and you're like, this is kind of weird. Toddy and Gareth are in me and my partner's wedding coming up in a few months. While Gareth and I are texting about the whole thing, Toddy texts my partner and drops out of the wedding. I was super upset about this, more so than my partner was, but I let it slide to avoid causing more drama. Gareth then comes back pretty fired up and says I can't make statements like that when Toddy isn't playing. She can't be in the call. I never said Toddy can't. I said the group would appreciate it if she wouldn't be there all the time. Gareth says that when I said it changes the vibe, it's very personal, even though I had said it would feel weird no matter who it was, not just singling out Toddy. He said if it's about guys' night, then make more plans instead of saying Toddy can't join unless invited. That wasn't what we originally asked about. We never said Toddy couldn't join unless invited. All we asked was that if she is not playing that game, could she not join the call? I would also like to add that Toddy and Gareth are in the same house, one room apart, while these games are being played. Gareth continues with more about how the default is Toddy isn't invited, which again is not what we asked for at all. And he finishes by saying that he can't really defend us. This really made me feel like he doesn't value our friendship as much as I do. I tried to defend myself and the boys, debunking all of the words he tried to put in my mouth. I finished by saying I'm not sure how we got here. This seemed like a simple request, and every friend group has a guys' night. The conversation ended with Gareth saying it's getting lost over text and we should set up a time to meet and hash it out. I agreed and told him to message the group a day and time. A week later, he hadn't messaged any of us and was even playing FPS games with other people instead of trying to resolve the issue so we could play together. After another week, I texted the group chat to try and get people to agree on a time, and Gareth never answered. 3 days after that, I messaged him again to ask if he wanted to set up a time, and he said he's waiting to see when everyone else was available. He lived 3 hours away, and the rest of us live close together, which is why we wanted to know when he wanted to meet. Guys, very simple. FaceTime.
Yeah.
You guys are on Discord calls. Guess what? You can literally FaceTime on a Discord call.
Yeah.
You guys literally, oh my gosh.
Speak face to face.
And if he literally says like, oh no, Toddy has to be there, you're like, this is what we're talking about.
Why?
This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Finally, after 2 weeks, Gareth comes to town and sets up a time to meet at a bar. We meet and he asks for everyone's opinion on the matter since up to this point, he's only heard through the messages with me directly. Everyone gives their opinion, and he seems satisfied with it. We said we know Toddy doesn't like our jokes and that we feel we have to filter ourselves around her because of this. None of us want to upset her or make her feel uncomfortable when we end up playing games with the larger group. He says we assume that she didn't like the jokes and she's actually fine with them. However, Toddy told one friend in the group last summer that she specifically didn't like me and one other person in the group or the jokes we made.
Aha. So we have reason behind not believing. It's not just a vibe. Gareth.
There's fact. Toddy has also said this to my fiance. So we know that her saying it doesn't bother me is not true. He says Toddy doesn't feel comfortable hanging out with the group right now and probably won't for a while. He then asked us to apologize to Toddy. I'm not sure exactly what he wanted us to apologize for, but we agreed because at this point we wanted it settled so the group could go back to playing video games. He says it'd be best to do it in person, and we say, okay. Toddy and Garrett's families throw a big 4th of July party that we normally get invited to, and that was the following week. So we figured that's when we would talk to Toddy. Come 4th of July, none of us get invited.
Are we surprised?
Garrett's right here, and Toddy is a little puppeteer.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Garrett,
Yeah.
come on.
Come on, dude.
We don't get invited, so we don't know when we'll see Toddy again to apologize. The following weekend, their group is playing Counter-Strike, and we invited Gareth to play. He says he's with Toddy right now and thinks he should wait until we can all apologize.
That's what we're trying to do, bud.
We've been trying to do that for like forever. You're not, we're giving 100%, you're giving us 10%.
Yeah.
I respond by asking when they will be back in town because we want this resolved. He doesn't answer. Toddy then joins our call while we are playing games. Gareth did not join. Toddy joins. I say, hey, what's up? To which she says, just here to make you guys uncomfortable, like I do. I can tell she's coming into the call combative and probably hoping we push back. Toddy doesn't talk again until we finish our game, which took about 20 more minutes. So she's there.
Gosh.
She's probably making grunts and sounds like to let you know that she's there.
Yeah, like coughing, clearing your throat.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Like, what was that?
Yeah. Ugh.
She sat there silently listening to us play again. Once the game is over, one of the friends leaves and goes to bed. Me and one other group member are left with Toddy. This other group member is fairly new and isn't super involved with the conversation. So they stay silent and just listen.
I feel like OP, as soon as Tati like joined, he needed to like press record on his phone and record this conversation.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, it's hard because I'm on Discord and you're probably on PC.
Well, I'm just
'cause you
thinking
can-
like just have your phone next to the
Just so
computer.
you can, yeah.
Because I'm just thinking that she is going to like try to ruffle some feathers in here,
Oh,
get them
100%.
to say something,
She
and
came
then
in with that mentality, yeah.
yeah, and then she's gonna like tell a different story to Gareth of like how it happened.
Oh, yeah, they like all talking crap about me.
Yeah,
and all that.
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha. This is when Toddy goes, "You guys want to talk about how you are effing a-holes?" Toddy is very clearly looking for a fight, and I know this, so I try to remain calm and just apologize. This is when you just stay completely neutral, like normal, and you're like, no.
Yeah,
And she's like, she's gonna keep
I
like
don't want to talk
daggers
about
at you to like make you break.
right, like she's gonna bring up things like, yeah, you're a-holes when you did this and you did that.
Yeah.
And then yeah. Or I wonder what would happen if they just stayed silent
Yeah.
and just let her keep going.
Also, sorry, OP, but when she joined the call after your game finished, what have you, because I know you can't pause it.
Yeah.
You guys should have like, all right, what's up?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Because
like,
you would
just
have
straight
every
up.
member. You would have at least 3 witnesses, 4 witnesses to be like, we have the story straight.
Yeah.
This is what's happening.
Why are you here?
Like, hey, Toddy, like, we're sorry, but
Yeah.
like, we just wanted to hang out with Gareth and just Gareth alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
that's
that
it.
okay? She also waited till the other group members left, and it was basically just me to talk to, which felt very targeted. I say I thought we were going to wait to do this in person, but we can do this now. I then apologized for about 10 minutes for the way it was worded and all that, and even tried taking most of the blame since I did send the message. Toddy doesn't say thanks or that she accepts my apology, but she just says, okay, cool, the whole time. But we get through the apology, and it seems like she feels better. The situation has mostly been diffused. Toddy then says Gareth needs to talk to me about the wedding Airbnb. Now, context for this. We asked the wedding party if they would be down to split an Airbnb for the whole wedding party to stay in the weekend of the wedding. We initially asked the group about this idea a year in advance and gave an ideal for total cost. Then 6 months prior, we brought it up again and specified the costs for each person. Both Toddy and Gareth agreed to this. We gave everyone the option for flexible payment plans if they needed it. We even said we would be willing to help or find a solution to make things happen if, again, they needed it. Toddy dropped out of the wedding after we booked the Airbnb, so my partner and I had to eat their portion of the Airbnb fee. Toddy says they are tight on money right now and Gareth would need to talk to me. I figured he would ask to pay portions over a longer period or something, so I said, okay. Toddy says she has been looking for a job, you know. I respond saying, I get it, I understand, to which Toddy says, well, you don't get it because you're a Nepo baby. I didn't respond to this. In fact, I sat in silence and didn't answer at all. 20 seconds of silence later, Toddy says, I didn't mean that as an insult, by the way. If my parents just handed me a job, I'd be happy to. I just said, yeah, okay. And then Toddy left the call. Clearly, the Nepo baby comment was meant to be an insult, but I'm not a Nepo baby, to get that clear. So me and the other guy in the group just laughed about it after Toddy left the call. I got into every university I applied for, including UW, direct admission to the engineering program, and interned every summer after high school. My parents didn't hand me a job. I would have gotten hired there no matter what because I worked my butt off to get where I was. The next morning, I text Gareth and ask about the Airbnb, figuring he would just ask for a payment plan or something. He then responds by saying if it isn't clear if Toddy was still welcome at the Airbnb since she dropped out of the wedding. Mind you, we told everyone at the start that if their partners were not in the wedding party, they couldn't come because we were at capacity for the Airbnb and we wanted to be just for the wedding party. Gareth did not mention money at all like Toddy talked about the night before. Instead, he said if Toddy couldn't come, he probably wouldn't stay at the Airbnb either. I respond by saying no, she can't because she's not in the wedding party and there are several other people whose partners aren't in the wedding party that aren't staying in the house either. He then responds saying that's fair and only then does he bring up the money is kind of tight. That money is kind of tight. At this point, I'm at a loss because it seems like both Garrett and Toddy thought we would let Toddy come without paying her portion.
Oh my gosh. Really? Like, I don't get why they would try that after knowing that she wouldn't be able to be there in the first place. Like they knew that from the start, and then she dropped out, and they were like, okay, well, can she like still come though? When like
You're
that's
just-
not it, and then to come with not paying.
Yeah. No, I think again they're trying to do anything and everything to be like, Opie, you're the villain. You did this. Like they were just trying to like be like, okay, Opie had a fault there.
Right.
Use that. That's her scapegoat.
Yeah, I guess.
Let Toddy without paying her portion, which would help them save money. Or that we would say no and Gareth would also not come, which again saves them money and we lose money. It clearly never crossed their minds that we would let Toddy come if she paid her portion, which would invalidate their whole reasoning for not wanting to come because of money. At this point, everyone else in the party agreed to go, and we would be at the Airbnb for 2 days before the wedding. Because of this, my partner and I planned a ton of activities and games to do those 2 days, and the Airbnb had grown from living quarters to a long weekend of bonding with the whole group. Now, this Airbnb scenario was just between me and Gareth, so I wasn't worried about being nice at this point because no one else is involved. So I then tell Gareth that this whole thing makes no sense and that we are already losing money because Toddy dropped out. I told him that this was crappy on his part because we told him when we asked them a year ago that the Airbnb would probably happen and 6 months ago when we started booking. We were flexible with payment options, but instead of asking about that, Toddy and Gareth went with dropping out after we had already booked it. I tell Gareth that if he's not committed to the Airbnb because it had become so much more than just sleeping arrangements and was a much larger experience for the wedding party, then maybe being in the wedding wasn't the best idea since he clearly wasn't that committed in the first place. He then doesn't answer for 3 days. Like, again, he's like, oh, yeah, I'll handle things. Doesn't plan anything. He's like, I'm waiting on you guys, even though he said, I'm going to, yeah. Oh, I sent Toddy to talk to you about stuff.
That's so annoying. It sucks too. I feel like OP could do a better job at like getting ahead of this stuff in a way. Not trying to say like, oh, you could have done this that would have prevented any of this. Like I feel like this stuff would have happened anyway. But I feel like right now, and he might ask advice like at the end of the story, but I feel like right now he's like complaining about all of this stuff, and then it
He's
seems
just like,
like
okay, yeah.
he's just kind of letting things go, which is very nice of him. But you know, I feel like these people need to be spoken to directly about what they're doing, and especially her.
I was going to say, you need to have, like, again, I feel like a lot of the conversations should be, there's, like, 2 different scenarios. The video games with Toddy joining the calls should have been not just with you and Gareth, OP. It should have been with everyone. And, again, you guys had that conversation. But it seems like every time it's, like, just, for the most part, it's you and Gareth, where you take lead of the group. And now the wedding and / Airbnb portion should have been a conversation between you and your fiance with Toddy and Gareth.
Yeah.
3 days later, he responds and says he's uncomfortable with the situation and is out. Here's the part where I'm definitely the a-hole. For 3 weeks, I tried to be as nice and accommodating as possible, taking mean comments from Toddy and apologizing for something that I probably didn't need to apologize for. At this point, I'm sure that I no longer want to be friends with Gareth, and I definitely don't want to see Toddy ever again. Gaming situation aside, my best friend of 8 years just dropped out of a wedding because we wouldn't let his partner stay at the Airbnb for free and screwed me and my partner out of hundreds of dollars because they chose to wait until well after we booked to bring up their financial issues. So, I wrote a long response and pretty much stated all my previous points and their flawed money issues reasoning. It was a long message and I knew they wouldn't read it, but I needed to get it out of my system either way. I told the group they can obviously still be friends with Gareth and Toddy, and I wouldn't hold it against them or anything, as the matter was separate from the gaming situation. They thanked me and said they were all still bitter about the gaming thing and were pissed about the wedding stuff, as they are all also in the wedding. So, they were also done with Gareth and Toddy. I've talked about this with the entire group and the people outside of the group, as well as some family, and everyone seems to be in agreement that Gareth and Toddy overreacted about the gaming situation, and the Airbnb thing was super crappy. By the way, you know what isn't super crappy?
What?
You listening to full episodes with stories just like this one by going to your favorite podcast app such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and searching up OK Storytime. We have about 72, 73 days.
Oh my goodness. My goodness. Yeah, I know there's a little bit more, but I just am waiting for them to just like talk to them directly about all of this. Talk about what Tati has been like saying to you about how she called you a nepo baby and she like
why was
joined your
that brought
call.
up? I was gonna say, why didn't you bring that up to
Yeah.
Gareth? I feel like again the way you talk to Gareth is like very relaxed, laid back, bro code
Yeah.
kind of thing. But you're like at this point, it's like, dude,
Right.
she sucks. I would be
Like,
like she
yeah.
she was trying to get a rise out of me.
Yeah.
I have witness.
Exactly.
We have a witness.
We got a witness. But yeah, and like we were bringing this up again, it wasn't anything about her. But now that she's acting this way, now it is about her. Now I don't want her there because of how she's talking to us. And like
Yeah.
and how she's I don't know. I want you to stop apologizing. Stop apologizing for things you don't need to apologize for, especially with this
100%.
girl.
Well, he's trying to be like civil. Again, he wants like everyone to be like, all right, like I get it. Like I shouldn't have apologized for this. And he's like, I just wanted my best friend there, or one of my best friends there.
Right.
I want my best friend back. But again, he's been webbed into Tati's like mold of like, that's my boyfriend.
Yeah.
He's mine now. I have, I wrapped him. He's wrapped around my thumb kind
Yeah,
of thing, or
exactly.
vice versa.
Mm.
So, But let's go ahead and finish the story. They also said we should have expected an overreaction for them, as it has happened in the past. However, that's all friends and family, so I'm sure they are a little biased. I want some outside opinions because even though I feel like I handled the situation to the best of my ability, I am still upset that I'm losing Gareth as a friend. I know that was long as heck, but the situation is over now, and I didn't want to post it while it was happening because both Gareth and Tati spent a lot of time on Reddit. If they found this, they would know it was about them because of how many details are in here. And before this ended, I thought that there was a chance I could have salvaged their friendship. Posting this would definitely hurt that chance now. Now that everything's said and done, I want some opinions. Let me know if anything needs clarification, as I probably skimmed over some topics. No. Your friend is no longer your friend. He became like some puppet to Tati. You know, he did whatever she said, and the fact that they blew up at literally a simple ask, and you even told him like, hey, like, we want Gareth back.
Exactly. And yeah, now it's like at a point where it's like, yeah, we want you back because you've been acting weird, bro. Like, why are you acting this way and like responding this way to things? And like, I've been friends with you for a long time. Let's just be completely open and honest about the weirdness of this situation, because I feel like at first, with how the problem started, it was very much the kind of thing of like, okay, well, we have this problem, but we know it could come off the wrong way, so we don't want to say it in the wrong way. We tried to say it in a good way, but it still came off the wrong way. So it's that kind of situation is a lot of like tiptoeing to try to make the right move, it seems. But it seems like they're still trying to do that even with all of these added problems. So we just need to like completely just peel all the layers back, look under can't think of metaphors to go along with that, but like, you just gotta look at all the dirty details and be like, yeah, this is how I felt when I did this. Like, yeah, that was weird when she did that. Talk about it all and talk about how you want each other back.
I didn't pick my friend as a bridesmaid. Now she's backed out of my wedding.
Oh, well, her loss.
I, 28 female, am getting married in over a year. Recently, I've been putting together the bridal party with my fiance, 29 male. He has 4 people that he wants, and therefore I will only have 4. I'm okay with that, as I want even numbers. By the way, this comes from Ill Effect, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, I'm Sophia.
I'm Keon.
And I'm Angie.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, however, my 4 I have chosen are from different chapters of my life. Middle school, high school, college, graduate degree. I have a super close friend from middle school that I have known for nearly 16 years. We talk almost every other day. My best friend Grace from high school and I have been BFFs for almost 11 years. I go to family dinners, vacations, and holiday events with her family. Alice from college and I have been like family for 8 years. I am her son's godmom. And my graduate friend has been my closest friend in the state I live in. For context, I knew who I would want for a long time now. This friend and I never had a conversation in the past 9 years where I said, I would have you in my party. This friend, 28 female, let's call her Sarah, and I have been friends since college. We met freshman year, but she transferred out. Sarah apparently lived 30 minutes from my hometown, and I introduced her to my best friend from my high school, Grace, 28 female, who is now my maid of honor. Ever since, we have all three been friends. However, Sarah would get very upset if Grace and I did anything without her. Grace and I have been best friends since junior year of high school. It would be okay if it was just Sarah and I doing something, or her and Grace doing something, but if Grace and I did anything, we had to include her. Moreover, she mentioned to Grace that she thought her and Grace wouldn't be in my party because I have a lot of new friends in graduate school. For more context, I moved 5 states away and have not lived at home for almost 3 years now. Moving along, I met my now fiance my sophomore year of college. She unintentionally caused issues between him and I a few times, and by unintentionally, I mean one of those times she called me to pick her up from Waffle House at 10 p.m. after the bar and needed a ride home. She posted a video and it made it look like I was out with a bunch of guys, although I placed a to-go order. Anyway, that got cleared up, but a mutual friend told me that Sarah swore he and I would never work out. Well, then why would you want to be one of the bridesmaids if you don't even believe in this union?
You know why? Because Sarah's a pick-me girl.
Yeah, she wants to be a
pick-me
part
girl.
of everything.
Yeah, you gross. Ugh.
She also would try to create a divide between Grace and I. Over the 9 years we have been friends, for at least 2 years we were not friends. Yeah, that probably makes sense why you wouldn't have her as your bridesmaid.
If you're already wishy-washy with your friendship with somebody,
can't be my bridesmaid.
you can't be my bridesmaid.
However, my relationship with Sarah does not go unnoticed. It was rocky a lot of the time, but there are good parts too. Sarah and I are friends, and I have been there for her through her health issues and family crisis. Sarah has been there for me during my mom's medical issues, and my other friends were too. Sarah is not a terrible friend, but she can be very dramatic at times, causing issues with other people that I had to help navigate. I am grateful for our friendship, but at the same time, I also feel like I have to hold her hand emotionally and walk her through right and wrong ways to react. This has been our whole friendship. Part of me knew that on a special day to me, she would support me, but I was also afraid of the theatrics. During my sophomore year, I also met my second best friend ever, Alice, 28 female. Alice and I were inseparable, almost as Grace and I were in high school. I basically moved into Alice's dorms. Alice is the one who actually encouraged me to date my fiance. I was Alice's maid of honor for her wedding, and now she will be the matron of honor at mine. I am her son's godmom. Anyway, I decided on my 4. I was confident in who I wanted, but I also knew it would come at a price of upsetting Sarah. I sat on it for days before bringing it up to her. I wanted her to know before asking anyone because I did not want her to feel blindsided. In my message to her, I conveyed that me choosing the different chapters doesn't diminish the value I have in her as a friend, or that I do not love her. I told her I was choosing from different chapters of my life. I knew it would upset her, but I did not think it would be this bad. I am feeling guilty. I even told her I never want to hurt her, but I never want to make her feel less important to me. I love her as a person, but I was also protecting my peace. She has not talked to me in 3-ish days since the message. Am I the a-hole for not choosing her? I feel like I did the right thing, but I'm just racking myself in guilt for hurting her. And there is an update, folks. But what do you think?
I say it all the time. Your wedding, your rules.
Your wedding.
Yeah, it's also, that's very generous of you to even go to her first and be like, hey, I already have my 4 picked out.
Yeah.
I feel like you could have,
You're still very important to me.
You could have sugarcoated it. If there was a 5th, you'd be the 5th.
Yeah.
And there's not. So, and I need you to understand, like,
You're my 4th favorite friend.
Yeah, exactly.
I need you to understand that.
Yeah.
No, don't say that. But yeah, I think that's very reasonable. I think you get to choose who is standing by you on a very important day.
And the fact that, I mean, we don't have her response yet, but we already know how she's going to respond. I mean, she didn't respond to you in 3 days. That's wild. She should be, I know it's kind of upsetting and, you know, I get it, but she should be like, okay, it's your wedding. I support it as long as I'm there and I can support you from like the sidelines, I guess, or from the back. I'm still happy to be there. She should be doing that as a friend.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for your comments. She got back to me this afternoon. Essentially, I have been informed she doesn't want to attend the Bachelorette next year. She doesn't want to attend the bridal party. She doesn't want to join me in getting ready. I tried to offer her to get ready with us so we could still be together. I only have 4 spots, but was told that it was stupid to offer that, but not offer her a spot up front at the wedding. I told her I was upset she didn't want to be part of the bachelorette, even stating that 2 of my friends in grad school wanted to be in the wedding, but I told them no because of limited spots, and they still want to be part of everything else. My dad and fiance have told me that they knew she would react this way,
That's
but
crazy.
I have the right to be upset that she doesn't want really anything to do with anything. At first, I thought I misread her text saying she didn't even want to be a guest. That was what made me cry. However, she clarified she will be in attendance, but nothing else. She also said that I do not value her the way she values me, and that if I cared for her at all, I would have waited to tell her because she has a lot going on, because her boyfriend of 3 months' aunt passed away and she's upset.
Hey,
Huh?
Sophia, see what I'm doing right now?
Reaching.
I'm
That's a
reaching.
reach.
Wow, that's a far reach right there.
What?
Wow.
Oh, she's an empath? Huh?
That's crazy.
Which I had no idea about. Why would you? It's her boyfriend's aunt
Of 3 months, by the way.
of 3 months. To be clear and fair, I first knew of this hours after I texted Sarah to let her know. I learned through Grace of her FaceTime that evening that Sarah was upset over her boyfriend's family, rightfully so. I told Sarah today that I had no idea. Again, why would you? She then sent me a screenshot from the group chat with Grace and I where she did post that his aunt passed away. I didn't read it because I was in an interview then had class. Also, what would OP have done with that even if she had read it?
Right.
Like send him, our best wishes. Sorry, like I hope he's okay.
Your condolences.
Condolences, yeah.
Yeah. OP would be like, well, how do you know that that wasn't really hard for me to learn?
Yeah, like it was actually really hard for me to learn that your boyfriend's aunt
Mhm.
passed.
I have to postpone the wedding.
Yeah.
That evening, I set an update about future goals and still did not read their messages because most times the group chat's just work sucks or funny TikTok. Anytime I find out something is going on, I instantly reach out asking how she's doing and saying that I'm praying for her. Every single time. I told her if I was more diligent in reading the text messages, I would have never sent the message that day. Which I feel she should know that I wouldn't just do that because I have always been careful with her emotions and supporting her through everything. So why would I choose then to hurt her more? That's what's upsetting me too. By the way, it upsets me when you guys don't listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
I think the funniest thing is that everybody knew Sarah was going to react exactly like how she was going to react.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, we all figured that would happen.
The fact that you want her in so many other things and she's still like, no, I'm better than that. Again, great. I know you want to
Yeah.
maintain that friendship, but I feel like you're putting way too much energy into
Yeah,
this
it's
where
just too much drama.
it's not worth it.
It ain't worth it. I spoke with Grace, and Grace said, I knew you did not know about it when I told you because of how you reacted. And usually you text back if it's something like that. Grace is upset that Sarah is behaving this way and doesn't understand why Sarah is using her boyfriend's situation to practically call me a terrible friend. I see Sarah having the right to be upset, but I ask for some grace and forgiveness because I am not selfish in the sense that I would just tell her because she was already having a hard time. I would never do that. Finally, my last thought is this. She said she assumed she would be a bridesmaid because we have been friends for years, and that the fact I'm not putting her up front with everyone just shows I do not value her. This has made me feel that it's not about being my friend, but about obtaining the role. The worst part of the conversation is over. I apologized for upsetting her and said that I cannot change how she feels, but can only apologize for making her upset.
Oh my goodness.
And that's the end of that story.
Somebody call Sarah a wambulance.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like, oh, she's using the boyfriend's aunt passing away, like when the kid starts crying,
Yeah.
and she's like, I want a piece of candy, or I want what you won't give me, and then you give it to her, and he's like, thanks, thank you, finally some
Exactly.
recognition.
Exactly.
So, sorry, OP. I mean,
Doesn't sound like a great friend.
no, she sound again.
Sounds
Just-
like a friend you need to maybe just slowly phase out.
Yeah, just enjoy your wedding. I mean, she'll be there, and try and just ignore her.
Yeah.
Again, you apologize, and I feel like you don't need to apologize for anything.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
good luck.
My mother-in-law treated me like I'm not family, and my husband still took her side.
Mama's boy, mama's boy.
And this comes directly from the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I, 28 female, have been with my husband, 30 male, for 11 years. My mother-in-law and I had a rocky start, but somehow managed to get along and have a healthy relationship. A little over a year ago, my mother-in-law, brother-in-law, and sister-in-law started a business. Without saying what it is, I was the only one with any experience in the field. I became the supervisor and ran the day-to-day. I also found out I was pregnant around the time of opening. By the way, this comes from Junior Reaction 6311, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Dakota.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, well, fast forward to the past few months. I had my child, beautiful, healthy baby, and was off for 2 months due to health issues during delivery. My sister-in-law, another supervisor, and another coworker, promoted to a supervisor as well, were in charge of paperwork, new hires, and all the day-to-day, including billing. I returned a month ago, and I had to fix the entire billing aspect so they would get paid. I went through all the paperwork to make sure they were in compliance. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago, my mother-in-law mentioned someone who wanted to apply, and I told her I tried to reach out to them, but we still had 2 other people who could help make that phone call. First mistake. I should have just done it. I had forgotten about it due to them piling more things on my plate and making sure things were done. This went on for a week. I was working 60 plus hours a week before and after my leave. Sometimes things get forgotten. We're all human after all. Well, my child was sick and I needed to take her to the doctor. My mother-in-law and brother-in-law just needed to talk to me about some things, and I asked them if it could wait until later that night, and I would call them or the next day due to my child having breathing issues. They said no and cornered me, taking my child's car seat and what felt like holding us hostage during this meeting. I had just spent a week making sure everything was up to date and doing other tasks they added on to me. Side note, postpartum has hit me really badly with this baby, and I was already struggling and chose to go back to therapy. I left that night and didn't make it in time to take my child to the doctor, so I had to take the baby the next day. It resulted in baby needing treatments to help. I sent them an email stating I was resigning effective immediately due to the lack of good and healthy communication and the way they spoke to not only myself, but other employees we had whom I'd been trying to keep the peace with so they wouldn't quit. Wait, so you're dealing with like a new baby and they're not even letting you go to appointments? What does that like?
New baby, but the business comes before the baby.
Business come before baby.
You've got a business baby.
Yeah, boss baby, if you will.
That's crazy though. These are
also illegal. Now, today, I get a phone call from an employee who I grew close with, stating that mother-in-law has been belittling them and talking a lot of trash about me and how I'm an F-up, and now they have to fix everything. I'm so hurt that mother-in-law is doing the thing she is, despite her begging me to re-enter the field so she could open her doors. Her birthday party is this weekend, and I just don't want to join. My husband tells me I should just ignore her to keep the peace until after the holidays and the family trip we have coming up, which I also don't want to attend. I have really bad panic attacks and anxiety as it is and can't mentally handle it. I think what you do, honestly, if you really feel like you just can't, do this, you say, oh, doctor, postpartum stuff. Oh, there's some complications with baby. Oh, baby's sick. Lie.
Yeah.
Lie about
what are they?
stuff.
What are they gonna say? Your baby? No,
Yeah.
baby don't matter.
Yeah. I want to add that my sister-in-law is only an owner because they needed her to sign to open the doors, and they don't give her a say in anything. And brother-in-law is just like mother-in-law with all this. So should I attend her party, or am I the a-hole if I don't attend somewhere I don't feel welcome anymore? There is a quick edit. My husband also works for a company, and I was already looking for another job before quitting. I really did not like being in that field at all. While still helping people, I chose to continue looking at fields I was in before returning to this one. I do not fault my husband at all, as he stands up for me all the time to her. He knows how I feel and supports my decision to leave and find something else. He's a great father and husband, so please don't come for him. And there is an update, but before we get into it, do you have any thoughts about what OP should do?
I mean, I think you might want to find a new job.
Yeah. Well, that's the first thing. You find a new job that actually supports you needing to go to the doctor with your baby.
I just don't think you should work with these people.
Yeah.
Your in-laws clearly don't.
Yeah, they're just.
I don't know how they could
respect
do this when it's like it's your child. Like you have a
grandchild.
baby to take care of, and they
Literally
don't care.
their grandchild. And they don't care.
Yeah,
Bonkers.
that's above all else. Put yourself in a position where you don't have to rely on these people for your, financial security,
Yeah.
and they can't hold your car seat hostage.
Yeah. Crazy. So I attended with 3 out of 4 of our kiddos. One wanted to hang out with his cousin he didn't see often, so we let him. Well, mother-in-law stayed quiet about the business things today for the most part, and I had another guest ask me about it. So I guess OP did make the decision to just kind of tough it out.
Okay.
And I did not lie and told her mother-in-law was a big reason for me leaving, but family is hard to work for, and that was it. I didn't go into detail. I don't know if I would have done that. I guess it depends on your relationship with that person. If I had a close relationship with that person and they were like, why'd you leave? And I'd be like, I couldn't work with mother-in-law. But if I didn't really have a close relationship with the person and I had come for the purpose of just keeping the peace, I don't know if I would have specified. I would have just been like, I was looking for a new job.
Yeah, you can keep that closer to the vest if you want.
I drove separately from my husband and left early due to the baby not liking fireworks. Our other 2 kids stayed to watch the fireworks show with my husband. My oldest texted me stating that mother-in-law was making comments about her son not being there and that he should be attending these functions and needs to not play video games so much and be outside more. Granted, we don't take our children over often as it's a bit of a drive to see their home, so they don't see them often. But more than my son gets to see his cousin.
They don't see them often, but more than my son gets.
Oh, okay. So they don't see them often, but more than my son gets to see his cousin. Different side of the family. I also want to add that he doesn't play video games unless his chores are done and it's not a weekday. Very rare that he gets to on the weekends due to us having plans or just hanging out as family. I brought this up to my husband tonight and he got snippy with me. He stated that my oldest, not his biological kid, is just starting stuff at this point. She does know that I'm not talking to mother-in-law right now, and I'm just being civil. She's a preteen and eavesdrops a lot and gets told to stay out of adult conversations daily. I try my best to make sure my kids aren't around if I need to vent about mother-in-law or brother-in-law out of respect and the fact she's still a child. That was it for me. I told him if these comments are true and he's blaming my child for telling me lies, then I'm done with this relationship. I will file for divorce. Whoa.
I do think it's kind of weird to be like...
to blame a kid.
Yeah.
I agree. I just feel like that was like out of the blue for me in this story. But it seems like it's not so out of the blue for OP.
Yeah, there had to have been something else going on there.
Little backstory, I grew up in a house where I told the truth about things, and my mother always took my stepdad's side and claimed I was a liar daily. I was also mistreated as a child. Story for another time. Anyway, I am furious at not only my husband, but his mother. I don't want to throw almost 12 years with this man down the drain over this. I know he's frustrated and torn between his mother and his family here with us, but I'm not labeling my child as a liar either. I am not comfortable with my children being around them. I really need advice because I don't want him blowing up at me for bringing this situation up again. I can be a broken record when something is bothering me, but I guess that's part of my anxiety and not ever being heard growing up. I've been working with my therapist on these issues because I recognize them and know I need to work on it. There is another update, which we'll just storm right through. I have started a new company, and my old employees are still in contact with me.
Okay, cool. All right, nice. We did that.
I talk to 1 or 2 daily because we became friends while working together. Anyway, this past week, one of my friends, we can call her Nora, called me very upset that the company is not paying her for hours worked, mandatory classes, and has taken a week off due to some issues. I support her 110%, and so does her fiance. Yesterday, she called me because an underage employee, let's call her Beth, who I'm friends with but not close with, is being given a few weeks to find a new job. Well, I had just stated that if it were me, I'd file unemployment because they're not giving Beth a reason to be fired, essentially. But I never told her to actually do it, just what I would do. By the way, what I would do is listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left of the story. Well, I feel like we learned a lot of information.
Yeah.
And OP never even told us if she's divorcing. We didn't go.
We still don't know that.
Don't know.
I don't know. I think that might have just been like a
If he keeps going on this, I'm going to divorce.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's very clearly very protective of the children.
Yeah, I think maybe it's like a heightened emotions.
Yeah.
Don't you dare accuse my daughter of being a liar.
If it's not his child as well.
Biological child. Which I think it's good that you're protective of your daughter, but, you know, hopefully we can work through that and come to some sort of conclusion and compromise.
Yeah.
That doesn't involve having divorce.
Hopefully.
We don't-
Yeah, I think in all of this, the children have to come first, I would say. The kids got to come first in all this situation.
Agreed. Well, Nora told Beth this information, and I'm not sure if Beth told mother-in-law that I said it. I don't work there anymore, so if a friend comes to me, I'm going to give insight on what I think. Well, now mother-in-law is calling me, and I refuse to answer, as I have a day full of meetings with my new company. I've told her this, and she's continuing to call me. I don't know, at this point, like, do not disturb her.
Yeah,
Get her, mute her.
something.
Anytime she's contacted me lately, it's been questions about her company that she doesn't know the answer to, so I stopped responding or answering. Am I wrong for this? No, you don't work for her.
You don't.
You don't work for her. You don't have a good relationship with her. I don't know why she's talking to you.
Well, it sounds like some of that stuff you said might have made its way back to her, and now she wants to, read me out about it. So another reason why we might just keep that a little close.
Yeah, I agree. We don't have to, we just don't make comments about her to people that you think might bring it back to her.
Yeah.
But that's the end of that story. And that's the end of this episode. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And
See you tomorrow.